just a little bit more to do. All right, I want you on one knee, your other leg extended, and lean slightly forward from the hips. Let your arms just drop naturally down, and then pulling those weights up with a row action. So working into our upper back area. Down under your legs and pull it up. Down, pull up. Good. It's important that you've got that slight tilt forward at the hips to really focus in on the upper back. Otherwise, if you're upright, you're working into your shoulders, which is fine, but we've done quite a bit of work on our shoulders already so far today. So leaning forward just moves that workout more into the upper back area. Good. Just a few more. Squeeze those muscles between the shoulder blades. Excellent. All right, relax. Can you lie down on your backs now? Lie down and bending your knees. We're going to work through the chest area with some chest presses. So imagine you're in the gym, you're lying down, you've got a massive barbell. All right, you're going to press it up over your chest. So bend the elbows, that's the way, Cherie, and directly over the midline of the chest. Not drifting those weights back around the neck or the face area, but directly above your chest. Push up and down till the elbows come close to the floor and then pressing up. See how Julia's got her arms nice and wide, 90 degrees at the elbow joint as she bends down. That's a perfect position. And pressing up. Down and press right up. Good. The strengthening through the pectoral muscles here in the chest. You know what I like to say when I do this one? I must firm my bust. I must. You can say that to yourself and see if that helps motivate you. All right, take it into a fly action now. Take the arms fully up over the chest and turn those bottles around. Out to the side with just a slight bend at the elbow and then hugging up over the chest again. Good. Still working through the chest. You'll feel a little bit of pressure too through your bicep area. Good. Squeeze. Now, even if your weights are really light, what you can do is imagine you've got, it could be a big armful of chocolate mousse and you're squashing all the way through it. Sometimes by using those mental pictures, you can visualize and just add a little bit more to your workout. Squeeze it in. Is it chocolate or strawberry mousse? Chocolate. Caramel mousse. We're getting fussy now. All right, take those arms directly up above the chest. Put your water bottles together and extend your top of your bottle toward your forehead and then up. We're doing a tricep extension, back and up. Now, it's important that your elbows are pointing up at the sky or up at your ceiling and you're bringing the water bottle toward the forehead. Cherie's working here into the back of her arm. Good. If that gets a little bit heavy, you can just drop one bottle, hold the other, and use the one arm. Good. Can you feel that in the back of the arms? Great. So down and lift it up. A great tricep workout. Just a couple more. 1, 2. You can put those weights away. You've done well. But we're not quite through. Rolling over onto your knees. Can we do some push-ups together? Hands on the ground. Extend your knees back and drop and lift. Still working the chest area. Drop and lift. Being careful to keep a nice flat back and not to sway your back in the middle. To do that, you've got to keep your tummy nice and tight. So hold it tight, down and up. Who wants to do advanced push-ups on their toes? Not today, Cherie. How about you, Julia? Just a couple for us. You could try a couple of these. They may be too difficult. Maybe one a day, and each day you'll find you can do an extra one. That'll be plenty, Julia. Beautiful. Dropping in now, tricep push-ups on your knees. Keep your elbows really tight. Drop and lift. Drop. It's important that your elbows stay really close to your rib cage. You've worked really hard, a great upper body workout. We've had our heart rates up. We've been using our water bottles. We deserve a drink. Why don't you have one with us and join us next time? You girls did great.
NTV, turning on your world.
Coming soon on NTV.
Many generations ago, the warrior Apoena from the Karaway tribe fell in love with young Antonia. When they returned to the Araguaia River with a young white girl carrying their child, they awoke Iaru's hatred. Raised away from the curse, Solano Rangel, the last descendant of Antonia and Apoena, returns to uncover his roots, but he couldn't resist Estella's charm. But she keeps a secret in the past.
Estella.
Her real name is Estrella Karaway, and her destiny is to fulfill the curse. Destiny River.
Coming soon on NTV.
Every idea we have begins with you. The way you connect.
Good morning.
How you browse. How you share. And how you interact with the world around you.
Your relationship with your God is the most important thing.
Have a company of people who have got a similar mindset. How do you want people to think, feel, and act after your talk? In other words, what's your objective?
You inspire everything. Because in the end, innovation doesn't really matter unless it does something that really matters to you. And we are HTC.
Farida Nakazibwe. Tutandise n'akakiiko k'ebyokulonda akatandise okwetegeka okujjuza ebifo by'ababaka abaagobwa mu Parliament nga kkooti bwe yalagira. Ababaka bano wabula nabo bakola butaweera okulaba nga bafuna ekiragiro kya kkooti ekiyimiriza okusalawo kwa kkooti etaputa amateeka okutuusa ng'okujjulira kwe bakoze kuwuliddwa. Akakiiko ke kamu era kategeka okujjuza ekifo kya Lord Mayor so nga kikakasiddwa nti abalonzi b'ebibuulo West nabo baakufuna omubaka omujja ng'ennaku z'omwezi 10 omwezi ogwokuna. Ono yajja okudda mu kifo kya Tony Kipoi naye yagobeddwa mu Parliament lwa kwebulankanya.
Oluvannyuma lwa kkooti etaputa amateeka okuwa ekiragiro nti ababaka abana abagobwa mu kibiina kya NRM bave mu Parliament, akakiiko k'ebyokulonda nako katandise okukola enteekateeka ez'okujjuza ebifo byabwe. Abakulira akakiiko kano bategeezezza bannamawulire olwaleero nti baafuna ebbaluwa okuva ewa ssaabawolereza wa gavumenti era nga balina okugondera ekiragiro kino.
Kubanga oda yeegamba nti Electoral Commission egende maaso n'okutegeka by elections. Ebbaluwa twagifuna wiiki eno ku Monday.
Wabula bagamba nti tebannafuna kumanyisibwa kuva eri Paalamenti nti ebifo bino byereere era nga kino kirina kukolebwa okuva mu ofiisi ya Sipiika ng'ayita mu kiraka wa Paalamenti. Ababaka bano abaagobwa mu Paalamenti olwaleero balabiddwako mu kkooti esembayo okutegeera ddi okwemulugunya kwabwe kwe baataddeyo lwe kunaawulibwa. Ababaka bano era bamaze dda okuwandiikira Sipiika wa Paalamenti nga bamutegeeza nga bwe bagenda okujulira ku nsalawo ya kkooti etaputa amateeka. Kigundu era agamba nti n'enteekateeka ez'okujjuza ekifo kya Lukwago zigenda mu maaso nti naye kino kirina okutwala ebbanga lya myezi 6 era nga kyatandika okuva olunaku Lukwago lwe yaggibwa mu ofiisi ye.
Mali myezi 6. N'ekyo tukyateekateeka kuba district si ntono eno n'olwekyo tujja kubayita nga tujjako akawuwo ku programu eyo.
akakiiko kataddewo ng'ennaku z'omwezi 10 Apuli okujjuza ekifo ky'omubaka Tony Kipoyi eyafuumulwa mu paalamenti gye buvuddeko. Ono alangibwa kwesuluba bantula za paalamenti ezisukka mu 15.
Okunoonya ssente oba fundraising mu lufuutifuuti okuva olwaleero tukiweze sobola okulaba nti buli muntu asobola okwesimbawo ali ku musingi gwe gumu.
Obukadde obusukka mu 400 bwe bugenda okukozesebwa mu kutegeka n'okumaliriza okulonda kuno.
Webale nnyo Dean Lubowa-Sava. Minisita akwasisa empisa Father Simon Lokodo ategeezezza nti tewali kyetaagisa kuddamu kukyusibwa mu tteeka ku buseegu kubanga lyayisibwa limaze okwetegerezebwa ekimala. Kino kiddiridde gavumenti n'ababaka ba paalamenti naddala abakyala okutegeeza nga bwe lisaana okwekenneenyezebwa. Lokodo alabudde nti ababaleka ebisambi, akabina, amabeere n'ebitundu ebyekyama ebirala ebiweeru mu lujjudde bamenya mateeka. Bo abalwanirira eddembe ly'abakyala bavumirira etteeka lino nga bagamba nti lyazze kumalako bakyala mirembe gyabwe.
Bwe bati abakyala ab'enjawulo okuva mu bibiina ebirwanirira eddembe lyabwe bwe beesowoddeyo enkya ya leero nga balaga obutali bumativu bwabwe ku tteeka ku buseegu lye bagamba nti obuwaayiro obulirimu naddala obukwata ku nnyambala bugendereddwamu okutyobola eddembe lyabwe. Baagalaliddemu litunuulirwe n'obuwaayiro bw'ekika ekyo buggibwemu.
Kati ffe twagalira ddala ekyo ekitundu ekikwasa ku mubiri gw'abakyala n'endabika gye balimu babiggyemu kubanga bye bisinze okuleeta obuzibu buno.
The real problem ain't how long or how short my skirt is. The real problem here is in the mind.
Billions ezo zonna ze babbye nga bwe muzirabye nga bwe bazibye ani abakutteko. Kati ngono omukazi daradara we bambudde engoye wendabye mu social media ekyo kyekizibu kya Uganda ekisingayo obukulu.
Kyokka Father Lukodo agamba nti etteeka lino lyamala ebbanga ddene nga litunuulirwa abantu ab'enjawulo era nga bakkiriziganya mu bwegenderevu ku bintu ebisiikuula emmeme z'abantu ebitwalibwa ng'obuseegu. Father Lukodo annyonnyodde ekitwalibwa ng'ennyambala embi mu tteeka lino era ng'abakikoze abazizza omusango.
Anybody who in his or her dressing exposes intimate parts of the body which have been identified by all the stakeholders from whom we consulted. And these are the thighs, the buttocks, the genitalia and the breast.
Kyokka agamba nti etteeka lino teryogera ku sikaati nnyimpi oba enkunamyo. Poliisi yavuddeyo n'erabula nti kubeera kumenya mateeka okwambula ayambadde enkunamyo.
Bw'oba olaba omukyala ng'ayambadde mu ngeri etekusanyusa genda ku poliisi otwaleyo omusango ogwo. Poliisi erabe bw'eneetandikira. Naye ate bwe munaatandika okwambula abakyala ate ne mwongera okubaswaza mu ngeri etetegeerekeka kiba kya bulabe nnyo ate era kimenya etteeka. Ojja kwesanga nga tukututte kugokuluusanya omukyala.
Lokodo avumiridde abantu abatwalidde amateeka mu ngalo ng'okwambula abo bwe balowooza nti baseegu. Agamba nti wagenda kubeerawo emisomo ku tteeka lino nga lirambululwa ssaako okuvaayo n'ebiragiro ebijja okulungamya mu kukwasisa etteeka lino.
That people read between lines and had other intentions which are not intended by the law.
Omuntu akwatiddwa mu buseegu asasula ensimbi ezitakka wansi wa bukadde 5 oba okusibibwa emyaka 7. Irene Namyalo, NTV.
Lord Mayor Erias Lukwago ayinza okuba yafuumulwa mu office naye akyalemeddeko nga enjogera y'ennaku zino bwegamba. Olwaleero Lukwago aguddewo oluguudo Kabakanjagala e Mengo era n'atongoza n'amataala ku luguudo lwe lumu oluvannyuma lw'akulira KCCA Jennifer Musisi eyabadde alina okukola omulimu guno obutalabikako. KCCA esazizaamu omukolo guno Katikkiro kwabadde alina okubeera ku ssaawa esembayo nga bagamba nti wabaddewo okukyusa mu puroguramu yaabwe.
Abantu ab'enjawulo bakedde kukkalira mu bifo byabwe nga balindirira Nankulu wa Kampala Jennifer Musisi okutongoza oluguudo lwa Kabakanjagala wamu n'okutongoza amataala. Mu bakedde mu kifo kino mwe mubadde ne Lord Mayor wa Kampala Erias Lukwago. Twategeezeddwa nti ne Katikkiro wa Buganda yabadde ayitiddwa. Kyokka oluvannyuma abakulu mu KCCA tebalabiseeko era wano Lukwago kwe kusalawo okugweddiza era bw'atyo n'atongoza oluguudo n'amataala.
Olwaleero nzize wano lwaki lwankulaakulana tuzze kutongoza mataala badduse enkulaakulana. Kaakati njagala olwaleero ani ayagala enkulaakulana n'ani alwanyisa enkulaakulana? ndi wano okutongoza eno si nkulaakulana kati nzize okutongoza enkulaakulana abatagala nkulaakulana badduse.
Wabula aba KCCA bwe twogeddeko nabo bagambye nti tebatidde lukwago wabula bafunye essimu okuva ewa minisita wa Kampala abadde alina okubeera ku mukolo guno n'abategeeza nga bw'atajja kusobola bwe batyo ne bagusazaamu
nga tugamba nti alina program gye yafunye y'amangu nga tasobola kubeerawo, so tujja kutegeka omukolo guno olunaku olulala kuba mukolo mukulu nnyo era tugwetaaga nnyo.
Omwogezi w'Obwakabaka bwa Buganda Oweekitiibwa Walusimbi Sseŋŋendo akakasizza nti ddala Katikkiro yabadde ayitiddwa kyokka oluvannyuma ba KCCA bennyini ne bamutegeeza nti omukolo gusaziddwamu. Wabula ye Lukwago agamba nti aba KCCA balina okwetondera Katikkiro olw'okumuyita ku mukolo ate ne bagusazaamu.
Ne balemesa Katikkiro wa Buganda okujja okubeera okuba yabadde omugenyi omukulu. Ekikola ekyo abakikoze balina okwetondera beene, balina okwetondera eggwanga lino. Kyakivve.
Kyokka bino we bibeereddewo Katikkiro abadde tannatuuka. Peter Moes, NTV.
Kyo ekitongole ky'ebigezo ki UNEB kyolekedde okubwa mu mbuga z'amateeka abakulira amasomero agamu gekyakwatidde ebigezo. Amasomero 23 nga galimu abayizi abasukka mu 108 gegakukuluma. Abamu ku bakulira amasomero gano bagambye nti UNEB tesaana kweyibala.
Olunaku lw'eggulo amasomero mangi gasuze gajaganya olw'abayizi baabwe baatuuza ebigezo okukola obulungi. Wabula ate ku ssomero nga Madina Islamic School ensangi si bwe gwabadde kubanga ebigezo by'abayizi baabwe 15 byakwatiddwa nga bateeberezebwa okuba nti bakola emivuyo.
Kitwogedde wano inshallah tubeere nga tukitwala nti kizibu kyaffe tusabe Allah kitubuuze. Muleme kugenda ate oluusi n'owulira omuntu akubye essimu ku leediyo ate gyabinnyonnyolera mulala mulaba ku TV ng'ate bye mulabye wano si byakoze ekiyitiriza. Ensonga yaffe tugikuume.
Abazadde bakedde ku ssomero lino okumanya lwaki ebigezo by'abaana baabwe byakwatiddwa era ne batuuza n'olukiiko olw'amangu okusala amagezi ku ngeri y'okuyambamu abayizi ebigezo byabwe byakwatiddwa.
Tuli ku minzaani okudda n'obutadda singa biba tebizze tulina okirowoozaako kuba kyekiriwo kati bwe biba tebiddidde ddala kiki ekiddako ng'essomero kiritubuulira kati ng'abazadde abali wano.
Edduwa yaffe eri bibuuzo kugira ki ate bwe tusaba si mwavu nti oba oli abayinza okulima tukkiriza ni mugagga bijja kukomawo.
Mu mbeera wabaddewo obutakkaanya ndowooza mu mpuliziganya n'ebisigadde era naffe kyatwewunyisizza okutugamba nti ebibuuzo byaffe baabikutte. Baana babadde batono ababaddemu obuzibu naye ebibuuzo byaffe tubiyina era bye bino.
Ate yo ku Kampala City School e Nansana nabo ebyabo byakwatiddwa era nga bwe tutuukidde ku ssomero lino tewabaddewo omuntu yenna ayogera naffe nga n'omukulu w'essomero bwe tumukubidde essimu atutegeezezza nti twesonyiwa ensonga z'essomero lye. Omukuumi w'essomero lino yabaddewo yekka n'abayizi abalala. Mu balala mubaddemu Bweyogerere High School e Bweyogerere nga bano basoose kutugaana kuyingira mu ssomero lyabwe kyokka oluvannyuma bennyudde ne batukkiriza era ne batutegeeza nga bwe bagenda okuwabira UNEB mu kkooti singa tebaddiza bigezo byabwe.
Ebibuuzo kubanga UNEB bikwatidde ddala tuba tujja kweyongerayo tugende mu kkooti lwansonga nti mu kaseera bakolera ebibuuzo UNEB yaleeta abasikawutu neeta abayinvigirators si ffe twabafuna we yabaleeta era ne chief invigilator ripooti ye gye yakola ripooti nga alaga nti ebibuuzo byagenda properly. Netwagala ku UNEB tuwe engeri abangi kubanga ffe tukikakasa nakuno gwaka tunakikakasa.
Amasomero 23 mu ggwanga lyonna ge gakwatiddwa ebigezo byabwe nga babalirwamu abayizi abasoba mu 108. Dini Lubowa Sava, NTV.
Tukuze kugulira lyaffe eryasoose. Poliisi eriko omukungu wa gavumenti ali ku ddala ly'obwa commissioner ng'akola mu ministry y'ebyensimbi gwekunyezza olwaleero. Ono kigambibwa nti abadde yeefuddemu mu kukabasanya abawala ng'akozesa ssente okubatyoboola. Maxwell Adieka abawala bano kigambibwa nti abadde abajja mu bitundu omuli Karamoja ne Lango ng'abasuubiza okubafunira emirimu oba okubawerera okweyongerayo mu misomo. Dereeva we akwatiddwa wamu n'abawala 3. Byonna Adieka abyegaanye ng'agamba nti zino mpalana.
Ono ye Maxwell Adeya ng'ava mu ggombolola y'Oyama ng'akola minisitule y'ebyensimbi akwaddwa poliisi ku bigambibwa nti aliko abaana bazzaako basanya ssaako okudyekadyeka abawala okuba Karamoja ne Lango mu ngeri y'okumalamu ekitiibwa. Kigambibwa nti ono abadde agenda mu bitundu bino n'alimbalimba bawala bano kyagenda kubafunira emirimu sako kubasusulira school fees kyokka bw'atuuka eyo n'abapangisiza amayumba mu bifo eby'enjawulo n'abagulirawo ne bu bizinesi obutonotono. Abawala abamulumiza bagamba nti bw'agiranga gy'ekiro gye bali nti akinye ssente ezivudde mu bizinesi buno bw'atyo ng'abeefuulira ng'abakozesa. Omusajja ono wabula avudde mu mbeera ku kitebe kya poliisi ekinoonyeza ku misango eminene kireka bakitegedde nti bannamawulire baadde bamukwata ebifaananyi era n'ategeeza nga zino bwe ziri entalo mu ofiisi mwakola.
Malice, the mafia are fighting me. The mafia are fighting me. The mafia in government are fighting me. No, this is a malice. There's nothing true here. The president, help me please. His Excellency the President. There are mafia in the Ministry of Finance because I unveiled corruption.
Eno y'emmotoka ya minisitule egambibwa kimwatira okutambulira okutuukiza ebigendererwa bye era nga mwe yasangiddwa ne ddereeva we. Twogeddeko n'abawala abagambibwa nti adde yabakozesa nga mulimu ono w'emyaka 19 agamba nti yamulopa ne ku poliisi nti yamukako omukwano.
He was asking for sex, yeah? Then I say, is that the reason I saw you brought me here? Then I say, without that, of course, the thing will not work.
Kigambibwa nti wabula abawala bano abadde amala kubakebeza siriimu n'okulaba nga tebalina mbuto nga bwe bukwakulizo bwe yateekawo okusobola okubafunira emirimu n'okubaweerera.
Yes, he took us for testing. We got like no area, I didn't have anything. He told us that if he wants healthy people.
Waliwo omunga wa myaka 17 agamba nti yamupangisiza kawempe n'amugulirawo n'akaduuka nti naye ng'aba ali awo ekiro ng'atuuse.
But on that process of bringing money is just coming to demand for what? For sex.
Agamba nti yamukozesa emirundi ena era bwe yeemulugunya n'amuwa $27,000 n'amulagira addayo ewaabwe Karamojja gye yamugya.
I felt bad, of course. That's why even I reported him to police.
Are you sure you're not telling us lies, or some people have come to you and tried to spoil his name?
No, we are not telling you lies.
Abawala basolo babadde ku poliisi olwaleero Nadia batwaliddwa mu ddwaliro okwekebejjebwa. Tekinnaba kumanyika misango poliisi gyegenda kugula ku mukulu ono naye nga yagamba nti bamulanga bwemage.
Coming soon on NTV.
Many generations ago, the warrior Apoena from the Karaway tribe fell in love with young Antonia. When they returned to the Araguaia River with the young white girl carrying their child, they awoke Iaru's hatred. Raised away from the curse, Solano Rangel, the last descendant of Antonia and Apoena, returns to uncover his roots, but he couldn't resist Estella's charm. But she keeps a secret in the past.
Estella.
Her real name is Estrella Caru. And her destiny is to fulfill the curse. Destiny River.
Coming soon on NTV.
Kameka. Kutwala. Akonkasobola. Kaagala naye ku lukala tekaliiko.
Sente okuva mu bizinesi ne sente okuva mu bintu ebirala ebiyita sente zetuyita sente zetutakoleredde. Emirundi egisinga tukozesa sente zo n'abantu abalala okusobola okubajja mu sente. Kyentegeeza sente ze wakola olwo ziba zitandise okukukolera.
Okola kyatenda okwekuumira ku NTV. Mu mawulire amalala, ettaka eryateekebwawo okugezesa ennima y'ebirime eby'enjawulo ssaako okugezesezaako ebyobulunzi e Nakabango litabudde abantu ejjinja. Abavubuka balumbye effaamu y'enkoko ne bazibba ssaako okwonoona ebirime mu nnimiro nga bagamba nti waliwo abantu ab'olubatu abafuna mu musimbi gavumenti gwe yassaawo okukulaakulanya abantu b'omu kitundu kino naddala abavubuka.
Abavubuka okulumba faamu y'e Nakabango mu Jjinja kiddiridde okulumiriza abamu ku bakulembeze mu Jjinja
okubanga balya ssente ze bagamba nti zabaweebwa omukulembeze w'eggwanga mu kaweefube w'okukulaakulanya abavubuka.
Tuli bakoowa okutwiba wena pulezidenti yesulaide wano amitinga abavubuka batuwa accountability y'ebintu byonna byonna batuwa enkoko kakaga batuwa emiliyoni 10 balemesa wano project y'obutiko gye baleeta nabagitoola ku bagitwala wano waki abavubuka abana beeta nti nibeena ekitundu kino.
Bano ababadde bakwataganye n'emiggo bayingidde ebiyumba by'enkoko nga bayita mu butimba bwe basikambudde olwo ne babba enkoko nga bagamba nti abakulembeze baabwe babba ssente ze balina okuwa abavubuka okwekulaakulanya nga n'olwekyo basazeewo okwesasuza nga batwala ebimu kubisangiddwa ku faamu.
Ffe twenda abavubuka batuwa embalirira yaife kitwenda byatwiba nina enkoko dongadde batuwa kati enkoko njitwala nange kufuna eng'entandikwa nga pulezidenti w'eggwanga bwe yali ayagadde nga pulezidenti w'eggwanga bwe yali ayagadde ffe abavubuka tufune nange eyo entandikwa yange.
Bagenze ne mu nnimiro ne batema amatooke n'ennaanansi nga bagamba nti bino byakolebwa mu ssente ezaali zirina okubaweebwa okwekulaakulanya wabula nga zaakozesebwa bubi abakulembeze baabwe nga waliwo n'omusajja asangiddwa ku faamu ng'alima gwe bagobaganyiza. Wabula bamu ku bakadde nga nabo bagamba nti baweebwa ekitundu ku faamu eno beekulaakulanye. Bagamba nti abavubuka baweebwa enkoko wabula ne zibalema okulabirira ne zifa nga kino abavubuka tebakyeganye.
Nga emmere tuziramira egirisa kubanga enkoko nga dirya emitwalo 12 buli lunaku. So okuva ku bbanga eraba nga bavubuka tuzasente dirikwa dirikulisa nkoko edo enkoko zalina okuba nga diri kufuna obuzibu diri kufa. Ensonga eziriwo nejja okutunaga eitaka ife litwasaba netuweebwa disitulikiti.
Faamu eno eriko ebintu bingi ebikolebwako omuli obulimi n'obulunzi ng'abantu ab'enjawulo omuli abato abavubuka n'abakadde balimirako.
Eyo ye NTV akawungezi. Mu mawulire amalala, poliisi ekyengera ekutte abasajja babiri nga kigambibwa nti batta omukyala Joan Nabukeera ku ntandikwa y'omwezi guno. Abakwatiddwa ye Charles Ssenabulya ne Samuel Olowo nga kigambibwa nti bano baafuna obutakkaanya oluvannyuma lw'omukubbo okuwa omukyala ssente ya muganze naye ne batakkiriziganya.
Ne mugamba nandyagadde okusula naawe olwaleero ekoye nti sikiinaamu buzibu naye mala okungulira ku kyokunywa nange ne mbaguliramu nti walagi buli omu wa 10,000 ne batandika okunywa. Kati nze we nawulira nga nti ntamidde ne mugamba tugende twebake.
Tugenda nenkwata eryange naye nakwata erirye nentukagina linosula kati namuleka aserengeta n'omuwala
najjamu n'akateeteeyi nasigala mu half pete nayimirira kati ne mubuuza nti oyagala ssente mmeka naŋŋamba nti ogenda kumpa emitwalo 2. Bwe yafuluma ebweru ne nninda omuntu nga simulaba kati ngenda okufuluma okutuuka we namulagiridde okufuyisa nga taliiyo kati era nakimanyirawo nti adduse agenze ne ssente zange nange kwe kumugoberera nengenda nga nziruka kwe kumusanga.
Yamukuba n'agwa wansi n'agenda owa mukwano gwe gwe bayita Olo n'amuyita bagenda okutuuka ng'omuwala akoze ki Nabukeera Joan afudde.
Bwe yajja kwekola kikwe n'amukwatako naŋŋamba nti n'omuwala yafudde. Ne mbuuza tugenda kukola tutya ekoye nti naŋŋamba nti tulina kumutwala butwaze ne tufuna gye tumusuula. Kwe kunsitulirako nange nensula ne tumukkiriza ku biddiba eyo wansi.
Era emmotoka zakulukuse ekiro kyonna operation zigenda mu maaso nga tunoonya omutemo Ssenabulya Charles. Naye nzira kukubiriza bannange bano abakazi abatambula mu mabaala babeere nti batebasobola kwegulira mwenge babeere mu maka gaabwe kubanga gino emisege gye tulina nga gimaze okunywa enjaga gyayonooneka gyafuka kintu kirala.
NTV 10 egiyise omuwendo gw'abaana abafa mu Uganda gukendedde nnyo abakugu mu byobulamu by'abaana aba Save the Children bagamba nti singa embeera eno egenda mu maaso omwaka 2015 we gunaatuukira Uganda ejja kuba eriko weetuuse mu biruubirirwa by'ekyasa. Wadde kiri kityo, Uganda ekyalina obuzibu bw'ebbula ly'abakozi abakugu abayambako abakyala mu kuzaala ekiviiriddeko bangi okuba nti bakyafiira mu ssanya.
Christine Nantume omutuuze w'ekibowa e Nakaseke atubuulidde obuzibu bwe yayitamu ng'asemberedde okuzaala omwana we owookuna.
Kale bebe ono nali nga sinaba kuzaala natandika kubulidinga musaayi nebijja nga muyitirivu ate nga nali wa lukindo kati naye ng'alwana nnyo mu lubuto n'asamba olukindo ne lwabika kati ne bannongoosa nga bebe tannatuuka ne bamutwala ekiwoko ne bamubikka.
Okumwanguyira kyayamba nnyo okutaasa obulamu bwe.
We really need to emphasize the actual act of giving birth and the first 24 hours. Because that is the most critical time in a child's life.
Agamba nti mu 2012 abaana akakadde kamu be baafa nga bakazaalibwa mu nsi yonna. Akkattiriza nti okufaayo ennyo kuyamba okutaasa obulamu bw'abaana abazaalibwa nga tebanneetuuka ng'owa Nantume.
Abasawo ne bamugamba omwana amuteeke wano ku lubuto n'aleeta engoye ezirimu ppamba n'amusiba bw'ati ebbugumu lye lisobole okukuza omwana ono.
Ekimu ku bireetawo obulabe ky'ekyokuba nti abakyala bangi babeera wala w'amalwaliro ate ng'entambula ya bulumi.
Save the Children ya training abasawo ab'oku byalo nti bagende nga banoonya abakyala abo ababeera abazaalira ku byalo yenna afunye ekizibu batukubire mangu essimu wano ku ddwaliro nga abasawo badduka bamunona naye ekizibu kye tetulina ambulance babanonera ku pikipiki so ne kiba nga nakyo kituwa obuzibu.
We're almost close to reaching MDG4. But I think the major lack is that only 58% of the women in Uganda have skilled assistance when they give birth.
Aba Save the Children kye baluubirira kati kwe kulaba ng'ennamba y'abaana abafa ekkawaakiri n'etuuka ku 7 ku buli 100 ababa baakazaalibwa n'abo abafiira mu lubuto ne bakendeera okutuuka ku 10 ku buli 100. Florence Salimba,
Mu mizannyo olwaleero abakubi b'ebikonde eby'ensimbi Kenneth Odeke ne Hudson Muhomoza bakuyingira ensiike ku Lwokutaano olwa Ssabbiiti eno nga balwanirira omusipi gw'eggwanga ogw'obuzito bwa heavy. Ababiri bano balabiddwako ng'okutendekebwa bakututte mu katale k'ewa Kisekka okukolesa obukodyo nga bwe balindirira Olwokutaano luno lwe bagenda okuttunka.
Omuzannyi w'ebikonde by'ensimbi Kenneth Odeke yasembayo okuyingira emiguwano mu Irani omwaka oguwedde ng'alwanirira omusipi gw'ensi yonna wakudda mu nsiike ku Lwokutaano luno ng'ameggana ne munnayuganda munne Hudson Muwummuza. Abamegganye bano olwaleero bakyamuukiriza abasuubuzi mu katale ka Kisekka bwe boolesezza obukodyo bwe bagenda okweyambisa mu lulwana lwabwe ku Lwokutaano. Wakati mu kutendekebwa ababiri bano bakira buli omu yeewerera munne.
Omuntu atali professional atamanyi gyakora yalina okulumba nga nsolo naye nze kimanyi guno omuzannyo mulinze mu ringi mukuba rawundi yokuna nga tenakwera.
Mpulira tweningira ku poliisi ekyo kyempulira naye ate mbalabula bombi n'abapoliisi mbalabula omwana wamwe wabajja mu lingi amekinge shuwa ajja ne pampa kuba agenda mu kuboola olubuto naye akijjemu enjawulo.
Anaawangula ku bano wakweyongerayo okulwanirira omusipi ogw'obugwanjuba bwa Africa.
Mu mizannyo okuvaako ebweru w'eggwanga omutendesi wa Manchester United David Moyes agamba nti mwennyamivu nnyo olw'omutindo gw'ekibogwe ogwayoleseddwa abasambi be akawungezi kajjo. Ttiimu ya Olympiacos yakubye Manchester United goolo 2 ku bwereere. Yo Chelsea etunka ne Galatasaray ekiro kya leero.
Manchester United eyokedde olusozi Gambalagala mupiira ogw'okuddingana ne ttiimu ya Olympiacos nga 19 March. Kino kyaddiridde ttiimu ya Olympiacos okuba Manchester United ku goolo 2 ku bwereere. Goolo za Olympiacos zaatayoddwa abazannyi omuli Alejandro Dominguez ne Joel Campbell ng'ono yava mu ttiimu ya Arsenal era ng'ali mu Olympiacos ku bbanja. Mu kutwaliza wamu ttiimu ya Manchester United yasambye omupiira guno ng'eyenga tena kigendererwa era ng'abazannyi balinga bataagala kuteeba. Mu kikopo kya Bulaaya olwaleero ttiimu ya Chelsea egenda kuttunka ne Galatasaray.
NTV
NTV, turning on your world.
Program Guide.
Today's highlight with
New geisha with extracts from Mother Nature.
What if she's already dead?
No, sir, she is not. Run for the exit, then save yourself, because I'm gonna go find her.
Why, Gabriella? Do you want to die like her?
Goodbye, Lucho. Save yourself. I'm going to get Constanza.
I should leave you alone, Gabriella, for playing the heroine.
My mom always wants what's best for us. That's why she uses new geisha with extracts from nature. New geisha with extracts from Mother Nature.
And the change of government won't stop a thing. I've run out of fingers counting the number of multinationals setting up here. What about the 3 companies that announced their plans to launch last week? I say they shot me. Me, I'd be looking to sell. At what price? More. Much, much more. I don't know who you are or how you know these things, but one thing I'm sure of, you're in the wrong job. Here, call me tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd like to hear more from you.
Are you ready for your big break? The East African, understanding the region.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
If I may ask you a beautiful question, Izzy, when you wake up every morning with the first yawn, what is the first thing you think about? Do you go right ahead with planning your day or grabbing just a few more minutes of sleep? Well, if your answer is the latter, Get up, ladies and gentlemen, to a beautiful start on Morning at NTV. My name is Brian Mlondo, coming to you live from the Kampala Serena Hotel rooftop, and of course, with the crested towers in the background. And this is one of the most inspiring views in the city. Talk about inspiration. Coming up, press review, the big story, everyday life, HTC moments, all packaged in one beautiful morning. My name is Brian. Mabel is standing by at the NTV studios. Joel Senyonyi and Simon Kasiate standing by for the press review. And let's start this day with the question of the day. Good morning. Today's question of the day: who is the Member of Parliament for Machinye East constituency? Feel free to SMS those answers to 6565 with your correct name. And of course, Morning at NTV is our Facebook page. Go there, like it first, answer the question, and you can also tweet your question at Morning at NTV. The first 5 respondents will each walk away with a mag from Morning at NTV. Winners have taken their mags. They are enjoying them in the offices or at home. You too can have an opportunity to take this beautiful mag home. Now, I'd like also to encourage you to please tag us in your tweets at MBGold2, at Mebkeb, at Joel Senyonyi, at Kasiate, at NTV Uganda. And let's continue those discussions and conversations on those avenues. Crossing over to Mabel at the NTV studios at the International Conference Center. Good morning, Mabel.
Good morning, Brian, and good morning to you, our special viewer, this Thursday morning. I am Mabel Kebirungi, and these are some of the stories that are making headlines. The police interrogates the commissioner of the Microfinance Ministry. The Electoral Commission sets in motion plans to hold by-elections to replace the ruling party lawmakers, and the Rwanda High Commission kicks off celebrations in memory of the 1994 genocide.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
The police have interrogated the Commissioner of Microfinance in the Finance Ministry on allegations of defilement and sexually exploiting a number of girls from the Karamoja and Lango sub-regions. Maxwell Adea is accused of luring his victims under the pretext of providing them with gainful employment and tuition. The police also arrested Adea's driver and is holding 3 girls who were allegedly abused.
A commissioner in the Finance Ministry is under the spotlight after allegations emerged that he defiled and sexually exploited a number of girls from the Karamoja and Lango sub-regions. Some of his victims allegedly gave birth to children. Maxwell Adea, who is 59 years old, got into a fit of rage when he noticed that our cameras were filming him barely after he was freed from the police cells at the Special Investigations Unit in Chireka.
The mafia are fighting me. The mafia government are fighting me. No, this is a malice. There's nothing true here. The president, help me please. His Excellency the President. There are mafia in the Ministry of Finance. Because I unveiled corruption. That is the reason. You move. They are not using people. You move. Yes. No, you put him in the...
This is the ministry car which Adea allegedly used to pick the girls from the far-flung Karamoja and Lango sub-regions. But his luck ran out when he was arrested alongside his driver. We managed to speak to some of the alleged victims. A 19-year-old girl claims she reported Adea to police after he attempted to force her into sex.
He was asking for sex, yeah? Then I say, is that the reason so you brought me here? Then I say, without that, of course, the thing will not work.
Before sleeping with his victims, Adair allegedly tested the girls for HIV and AIDS, candida, and pregnancy.
Yes, he took us for testing. We got like no area, I didn't have anything. He told us that if he wants healthy people.
This 17-year-old girl claims Adair rented her a room in Kawempe, a Kampala suburb. She says Adair slept with her on 4 occasions, but after she complained, he gave her 270,000 shillings to return to Karamoja.
On that process of bringing money, is just coming to demand for what? For sex.
It is alleged that he opened a shop for some of his other victims and would visit them in the wee hours of the morning to demand for money.
You know that it's him when he comes at midnight.
Of course, you calls me at the door, knocking the door to open for him.
Are you sure you're not telling us lies, or some people have come to you and tried to spoil his name?
No.
This 17-year-old was picked by police from Adair's home in Kawempe. However, she claims she's a niece to Adair. It is alleged that just like the other girls, she was also subjected to tests on HIV and AIDS, pregnancy, and candida. Both Adair and those pointing an accusing finger at him have been subjected to medical examination. It's not clear yet which charges police will file against Adair. Ruhanga, NTV.
The Electoral Commission has set in motion plans to hold by-elections to replace 4 ruling party lawmakers who were recently ejected from Parliament following a ruling from the Constitutional Court. This comes at the time lawyers of the MPs have filed a notice to appeal in the highest court challenging the decision of the Constitutional Court. The electoral body also says once 6 months elapse after the embattled Lord Mayor was impeached, they will hold another by-election to replace Erias Lukwago.
The Electoral Commission plans to hold by-elections in 4 constituencies after the Constitutional Court ruling recently sanctioned the expulsion of 4 MPs from the August Assembly. The decision to hold polls could likely put the electoral body on a collision path with the judiciary. Barely after losing the verdict in the Constitutional Court, lawyers of the 4 formerly NRM MPs who were expelled from the party filed a notice to appeal the ruling in the Supreme Court. Badri Chugund, who is the chairman of the Electoral Commission, says the electoral body has already received a letter from the Attorney General giving a green light to the elections.
And the Electoral Commission received a copy of the orders. So what I want to assure you is we are preparing on the basis of the court orders.
But the Electoral Commission has not yet received information from the Clerk of Parliament to authorize a by-election. Today, the 4 MPs who were expelled from the NRM party after rejecting 2 unfavorable positions spent the day working on an appeal they plan to file in the highest appellant court. The lawmakers have also written to the Speaker of Parliament about their impending appeal in the Supreme Court. The Commission also revealed that the embattled Lord Mayor Erias Lukwago's by-election is underway.
We have 6 months to complete that by-election. So, and we are preparing. Preparations are underway.
However, the decision to hold a by-election for the political head of the City Hall could be contested after the ruling of the High Court Judge Yasin Nyanzi, who insists Lukwago is still Lord Mayor. The EC has also set the 10th of April 2014 as the date for the by-election of Bubula West constituency. This is after Tony Chipoi in Subuga, accused of plotting to overthrow government, was expelled from the seat by Parliament after missing 15 consecutive sittings.
As required by law, the statutory deadline for conducting a by-election for a member of Parliament is 60 days after the occurrence of the vacancy. The Electoral Commission has therefore approved the electoral program for the by-election of Member of Parliament for Bubula County West.
Over 400 million shillings has been set aside to carry out these by-elections, which will also cater for the elections of the local government councils. Maurice Chol, NTV.
The Rwanda High Commission has kicked off the Kwibuka at 20 celebrations in memory of the thousands who died during the 1994 genocide. While launching the celebrations, the State Minister for Economic Monitoring, Henry Banyenzachi, praised President Paul Kagame for his wide leadership that has brought about peace and reconciliation amongst the Rwandese.
government and the people of Uganda for the humane act they exhibited when they retrieved the human remains that were washed into Lake Victoria and gave them a decent burial. The commemoration is a constant reminder that we should stand in solidarity and do all it takes to ensure that this kind of human madness never happens again. Those who continue to propagate the genocide ideology must be fought and brought to account by all peace-loving people of the world and denied an opportunity to poison unsuspecting communities.
The spirit of the Rwandese, Abanyarwanda, you have demonstrated your country has recovered from that kind of genocide, from all the evil, and you have stood to be the light of all of us. You are shining like the candle I have lighted here. You are more or less the candle of many of us. You are the candle of Africa. And thank you very much for that kind of resilience, for that kind of determination that you have demonstrated to put your country back on track.
And that's all we had for you in today's morning bulletin. We now cross over to the Kampala Serena Hotel rooftop to Brian, Joel and Simon for the press review.
Thursday, a wonderful Thursday morning, the 27th day of February 2014. Just one day to go to the end of the month. We're coming to you live from an interestingly goldish skyline showing over us at the rooftop of the Kampala Serena Hotel. It's morning at NTV's press review this morning with myself, Simon Kasiate, Joel Senyonyi and Brian Mulondo. Hope you had a wonderful morning. We are looking at the Daily Monitor this morning. Let's go, Joel. What's in the Daily Monitor this morning?
The biggest story, of course, that the UCE results were released yesterday. Best 10 districts are listed here. There are people who are jubilating.
Best 10 districts or best 10 in districts?
In districts, in each of these districts. It's interesting how, you know, the tides are changing a little, if you like. Apparently the schools, the so-called traditional schools, are not doing as good as they've always done. Things are changing. I don't know that they've always taken it for granted, but that's what's happening. Something that again stood out for me, I realized that, of course, they did make a comment on it, that many students are failing, not because they do not know what to do and that kind of thing, but you see, their ability to comprehend the English language is very wanting. Why? Because they have a poor mastery of the language. And I remember times back they were saying that should children be taught in their local languages. Do you think that is the way we should go?
Well, if they must be taught in their local languages, only to find jobs in places like ESCOM and other places where the language of instruction and operation is English, then you can as well go with your Luganda and see how much you'll manage to stand turbines at Chira or Nairobi at the power station. How able you, with your Luganda, will you be able to swipe your finger across a Facebook page or even send proper WhatsApps and comprehend them? So, if the hegemonic language of instruction is English, so be it. Unless you're going to form yourself into some form of China and say we will develop our own technology in our local language, we will develop every system in our language and keep close to the rest of the world, then you can as well roll for it. But can you who fail to
even things better at a tender age? So.
But even talk about your own language. Many children don't even speak their own local languages. I know at least 90% of my elite friends whose children cannot comprehend any instruction in their local language. Even my elite friends at my age cannot speak.
Cool thing.
Yeah, they cannot speak their own language. You see them at graduation parties trying with a mockery, a despicable mockery at how to speak their local language. You've seen them at wedding ceremonies trying to address their guests who have come from far villages and deep into from their rural areas. Mockery of their local languages.
Thank you for coming. And
then it even becomes worse. They give us proper entertainment when they are bereaved. They are trying to make a speech over the casket of their loved parents, and they cannot speak a local language. They're going to bury their father in the most remote area of this country. And rather than mourn, we in fact laugh at them, at how despicable they are unable to speak their language. So,
do you not think you parents are to blame if you don't train these children? Because they grow up with you, and before you speak English with your wife, and they speak English to them because you think that's the cool thing. Well, what do you expect the children to do?
I am glad at least
you're not learn on their own.
At least I'm glad you're not blaming this on government. So there we are.
I personally think that the way we are trained when we are in school, you know, we are taught a e o u ka pwechikopo. And that's where the problem starts. But now there are, there are schools that will teach that you don't say A, E, I, O, U. You say A, E, I, O, U.
Instead of saying Z, you say Z.
Yes.
So in this case, that's why when some of us speak with that strong R and R, as you had yesterday, people start looking at it as being extremely uncool.
You have errors and errors.
Yeah, but I am able to oscillate between two words. I will go and present a paper at the Columbia University Auditorium in New York. At the same time, go and address my local people in Karengo, where I have a home.
Right.
And they will listen to me and comprehend what I'm saying in two different distinct languages. Right. But how many of these children who have just graduated with their S4, who have just graduated with their PLE, who have just graduated from university, are able to interact both with the corporate world that's waiting for them, or the working world that's waiting for them, and the local world where they actually come from,
so
where they will be interred when the end of time comes.
Your work is cut out for you. Hopefully you do not disappoint. We'll wait and see how
well, I'm glad that you're speaking as a child, and please keep the respect for parents. Further into the Daily Monitor this morning, we've got an interesting story playing out in the sex arena. As always, this week has been extremely sexy. Yes, we are not talking about the gay law.
We'll call it that if you like.
Japan has said, we won't abandon you. Thank you very much. How do you say thank you in Japanese?
I wonder. This morning when I was coming to the arena, there's a security guard who checked me. I was thinking, wait a minute. Don't touch me and check me. I said, haven't you read the anti-pornography law? Although, of course, they're doing their job and we need to let them. But I just thought, this guy is here.
It's too...
So, the bit about the anti-pornography bill, women activists demonstrating against this bill and coming out to say it is repugnant, that kind of thing. I think police, because I'm seeing young men saying, let them come out in their miniskirts, we shall undress them and that kind of thing, I think that is wrong. Police needs to come out heavily on these young men and rein in on them. But here is the thing. I was looking at these activists at the National Theatre, and there was one particular one who was wearing a very short short. It actually looked like what I would wear for a boxer. And I was thinking,
Joel,
let's be serious here.
If you want peace on earth, if you want peace on this TV station, please do not make any direct references to these particular women.
Give me a break. Let me bring it on. Let me make the point that I was making clearly.
You wait.
This particular
they will
one
attack you left, right, and center. These ones, they are mob justice fanatics.
Does this guy know who I am?
Okay.
But let me make the point.
I hope a one Sunshine Akumu is listening and watching. I hope a one Apenyo.
Let them bring it on. Hopefully I don't find them waiting for me down here. But you see, I thought that was very provocative.
You know one of their colleagues who showed up at Parliament in Ebra? You wait.
These young girls that I do not know.
We understand that you need to put your point across, yes, and you must use all arsenal before you, but at least we should keep it within the realms of basic decorum. Certainly. As women, or maybe am I sounding sexist? Spare me the daggers, I know you. Getting further into the day, again speaking on matters sexual with regard to the gay bill, France, Sweden cautions Uganda on gay law as the United Nations is concerned.
These ones will keep making noise as long as they want. Here's Japan saying, I'll trade with you. China is on our side. I'll tell you, for serious business people, they are not so concerned about, are you gay and that kind of thing, because the other day the business communities, was it for California or one of those places, saying we're not going to deal with Uganda anymore and that kind of thing. And I was thinking, what kind of hogwash is this? If you have a shop, you do not care who comes in as long as they have money, whether they are gay or straight, whether they are whatever, that kind of thing. For serious business people, they're not going to be bothered by this, and we need not be bothered.
No, but you see, an argument has been made, and I want to reiterate the same argument. You find these Orientals, these Japanese, for them, they don't really care how you behave yourself outside them. For them, they rely more about their relationship and commitments towards you, no matter how you democratize your country, no matter how you treat people in there. It's because they understand that people are made differently. They have their own value system, as opposed to France, Sweden, and all the other countries which think that their own value system, their manners are universal manners. No, they cannot be universal. That's why they are how they look and we are how we look. We obviously will be different.
There's
in
also
as much as we share the same space.
Rumor that Facebook is also planning to get us off and WhatsApp. So people have come up with creative ideas on creating.
I read that, and as the same
employers will be very glad to receive that kind of news because of a lot of man hours wasted by employees, spending a lot more time.
By the way, there are people,
IT consultants that are coming up with Yuga Book or Africa Book.
There are some of you who work in the media, your key performance indicators partly is Facebook. As people get fired for using Facebook, you can be fired for not using it. So this is an undoing on their part.
I wonder who is going to do that. Well, We've got your usual columnists in the Daily Monitor and op-eds, Daniel Karinachi. As always, with tongue-in-cheek saying, while you are busy frothing at the mouth over the anti-gay laws, the following things happened right under your nose. Some 40 billion Ugandan shillings given as money to the banana initiative of the president went missing. Then we had the police announcing that they are recruiting more officers to man the 2016 election. Then you had Presidents Uhuru Kenyatta and Paul Kagame arriving in Uganda and checking in using their national IDs. While for you, you've spent billions of shillings over the last 1 decade trying to get yourself a small piece of paper, no bigger than this, as a national ID. And many other things that he puts up in his column this morning. You better get yourself a copy. Yes, the inside pages of the Daily Monitor, as always, your favorite magazine, Joel, Heart to Heart. There we are, talking about fine people who are looking for love and who are expressing their love.
Joel saying when you're looking for love in the papers, I think, and well, I'm not, you know, it might sound like I'm denigrating these people.
Yes.
It's something I would not do, or encourage somebody that I know to do. Go to the papers to look for love. Are you kidding me?
Why wouldn't you?
It's absolute nonsense. Why? Because you see, things should work out naturally. Meet this person, get to know them, and that kind of thing. When you put yourself in the paper, you're going to polish yourself.
Where natural is what?
Where natural is we meet wherever we meet, get to know each other, not in a cosmetic manner.
We meet wherever we meet, including and not limited to newspapers. So let's proceed. Don't be redundant in your speech.
Yeah, those that want to meet in the papers,
you men love your cars. You love your machines. Those of you who don't have them, you aspire one day to get your cars. That does not stop you from getting yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor.
But in the meantime,
to check out what my car pullout is saying about driving on an empty tank.
If you don't have one in the meantime, you can drive a Lexus or a Mercedes-Benz. There is also Hyundai. There's many options, basically.
Well, in Heart to Heart this morning, get to find out about Beru Tires. You know him, that famous local artist with his famous local artist wife. And they're talking about their recent marriage, which has warmed up their house further. It's an indication of no hope lost for those of you who have been cohabiting and making children almost ad infinitum, that one day you could walk down the aisle.
Talking about married people, I'm seeing Morgan Freeman here. He's an actor. He's with his 27-year-old girlfriend. How old is this guy? You should know.
This guy is like...
He looks like a grandfather to this young girl. And they're saying, why won't men let girls be? Okay.
Well, the girl is
I will hold my pace for now.
Absolutely. I tell you, you are slowly getting yourself into the candidate position of having these women activists attacking you, Joel. And when they start, they don't stop. You will see them. Anytime you see a lady with a bit of scattered dreadlocks and uncombed hair, know they are coming for you.
But you're the one who is sending salvos at them. They are trying to be nice.
When you see one wearing
scattered hair, scattered
I want to host Mildred Apenyo. This probably next week.
She runs a Sunday column somewhere, so one of these days she will...
Mildred, I know you're watching this show.
You're giving her an open invitation.
Yes. Please come and join us here and dissect this man.
Bring it on, Mildred Apenyo and your other clanmates.
Well, we have so many stories ranging around the premise of the UCE examination results. We've got schools threatening to sue UNEB over results, those which went missing. Then, of course, the Daily Monitor is just stamping this morning that the pioneers of their scholarship program took top slots, and you can get to read and see how much the Daily Monitor and, of course, we of the National Media Group are changing lives in more ways than one.
Simon, I want to ask, does it make sense for you to sue UNEB if you are caught cheating?
Of course, they're just trying to come up, console themselves. I mean, the schools need to show that they're taking a stand. Parents need to know that they're doing something about getting
people suing police for having been caught stealing. So clear. But we sue almost for anything.
I honestly think
the women activists want to sue.
I tell you.
You told me to leave them alone.
No, wait. I don't say I didn't warn you. The Daily Monitor's commentary this morning and the opinion of the day is saying what these poor UCE results mean. It's decrying the state of affairs with regard to the, to the glaring failure of some of the subjects that were partaken in the last examination, including that of chemistry.
Chemistry and mathematics.
The kicker is
to pass it that well, Brian, for example. You might be saying they failed it and thinking it has just begun. Yet when this guy was in Senior 3 in 1982.
No, but you see, I mean, it's the same ideology that we use when we are supporting football teams. You find people almost kicking the screen and say, no, he should have passed that way, he should have scored like this, he should have taken the penalty this way. When the guy can barely carry a ball. Exactly. So,
but those make the best coaches, I'm told.
Absolutely. So, in other words, the best commentator over this issue should be Brian. Brian, do we have the red paper online this morning?
The red paper online, of course,
it's going awash. They have another list of homosexuals, or because I know their headline story this morning. If you look at the copy of the Daily Morning of the red paper this morning, is homos go to court over the anti-homosexuality bill, and there's two interesting photographs of men I have known to be very straight, or as straight as they get. Some, in fact, more straight than should be necessary. Fox Odoi Olweolo, member of parliament, and Andrew Mwenda. Now, these are the two homos that have gone to court, according to the red paper, over the anti-homosexuality bill. Are they homos or homo sympathizers? We need to check out the copy of the red paper
to get. We need to draw a line in this whole debate. Andrew Mwenda coming out strongly and saying, I may be a gay, activist, but I do not, of course, agree with Western countries coming and telling us how to run our business. And then people, all of a sudden, labeling him to Andrew.
But you know, in this, but you see, in this country, when you speak nicely about something, either you have been bought to speak nicely, or you are that something. If you say, I do not mind, people walking around as free as possibly they can, in the shortest dresses they can, then start looking at you, oh, you have been paid off, or you are simply that, you are an immoral person.
The other day this
is a country that labels you, not because of how much you reason, but on how much prejudice you are able to do in terms of putting across their billing. That I must reason like you for you to be acceptable and know that I have not been bought.
And yet the truth is, not everybody thinks like I do. There are those who think like me, there are those who don't think like me. Then there are those who probably don't think at all. I'm not saying you in this particular case, but I get your point. Yeah, the other day I put on a yellow tie and people said, you look like NRM. Then yesterday I put on a blue tie. They said, now what is wrong with you? Today I'm in purple, so what is this?
Well, there is a purple political party. Have you talked to Muzei Jabir Vidani Sari? Possibly his color.
This one.
Absolutely. The sports section of the Daily Monitor this morning is featuring an interesting development in Ugandan football. There is a row between club and all country. We know guys who play for their club, fair enough, but are very good and they feature on the national teams. So to whom should they offer a lot more of their loyalty? Is it their club or their national team? To get a feel of what this all plays out to be and what it exactly means, get yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor and see the sports stories and the commentary by top sports journalists at the Daily Monitor.
I see Fufa here insisting on using KCCA players. KCCA is interestingly trying to build that team, injecting a bit of money. Hopefully something we need to see. Which local club do you support?
Well, I'm a Villa guy, but KCCA is doing well.
Who is the captain of Sports Club Villa?
I don't know.
Who is the captain of Arsenal? That one you should know.
I don't know.
Clearly, you're like many Ugandans.
Well, to bring you maybe to closer to home where you understand and feel free to comment about this kind of sport. English Premier League. Moyes, you know him.
No, I actually
takes blame for United defeat.
He's being a good leader.
Is in another world right now. But quickly back to KCCA. KCCA is doing well in the Champions League. And of course, yesterday we had this conversation about whether the national team has more power than the club. If the national team wants your players to represent their nation, and of course for every player, it's an amazing dream to debut on the national team. What do you do? So clubs come up and just have to lie. They say, my players are injured, so that they don't send them.
But should it not be that way that, priority is given to the national team?
Yeah, like that's what...
elsewhere, the national teams and so on, World Cup, when it comes to that premiership, they relax a little.
That would be the assumption, but you see, players earn more from the clubs than the national teams.
Well, let's spare that for that sports segment on Morning at NTV when you get down to some serious analysis with our colleague Dakaba. But in the Daily Monitor, the next magazine has an interesting feature of an former LRA captive who has turned his life around, and in so doing is turning around his community where he comes from in O2K round and making a huge difference in the lives of people that he's touching. That's an inspirational story, one from grass to grace, one that you can only find in the Daily Monitor. This morning, have a wonderful one. Let's get into the big story this wonderful morning, Thursday, the 27th day of February 2014.
Every idea we have begins with you. The way you connect.
Good morning.
How you browse. How you share. And how you interact with the world around you.
Your relationship with your God is the most important thing. Have a company of people who have got a similar mindset.
How do you want people to think, feel, and act after your talk? In other words, what's your objective?
You inspire everything. Because in the end, innovation doesn't really matter unless it does something that really matters to you. And we are HTC.
I can smell that liquor on your breath.
Because I've been drinking.
Coming soon on NTV.
Many generations ago, the warrior Apoena from the Karaway tribe fell in love with young Antonia. When they returned to the Araguaia River with the young white girl carrying their child, they awoke Iaru's hatred. Raised away from the curse, Solano Rangel, the last descendant of Antonia and Apoena, returns to uncover his roots, but he couldn't resist Estella's charm. But she keeps a secret in the past.
Estella.
Her real name is Estrella Karu, and her destiny is to fulfill the curse. Destiny River.
Coming soon on NTV.
The Ministry of Health, together with the Office of the First Lady and Kampala Capital City Authority, with honor, invite you to a public rally on the elimination of mother-to-child transmission of HIV in Kampala City. The guest of honor will be the First Lady and EMTCT champion, Mrs. Janet Museveni. The rally will take place this Friday, 28th February 2014 at Kololo Airstrip, starting at 10 a.m. Stand out, participate, and protect. Have an HIV-free baby.
Yo! Aro, give me 5 stress, 3 gonorrhea.
Kale muli wano, you think you've brought capacas omwana yena sobola gamba super deep. Si miaka jafe.
I'm like, I like my swag too. So what about it? Then she was like, I also like your accent. That village accent. Now.
Okay, why didn't you when you got political Tayaka no Mozanga Nakajawa?
Katina Kambuza, why are you crying?
I think I'm Big Mitch. Larry Hoover. Put that in Kiprochichi's accent.
I think I'm Big Mitch. Larry Hoover.
I was going to my hall, someone came from my back and was
how tugenda okweba kekiro yanga mwami omanyi olakeko nange omulundi gw'ogusembayo.
I went to the nursery and I asked why is it that our father is negative and for us we are positive.
Every time I find a story of assault of one person to another, I get disturbed.
Mwayombye ekyolwaleero tasuzeewo lwe bakwokezza. Naze poza kimu nti mujja wange yanjokezza.
Kino ekyafa kino kyali kyakulira muno mu lubuto.
The Irene I know just loves music and loves to sing. I've never seen her even smoke a cigarette.
The days of legal trade in slaves are history, following its abolition in the 1800s.
They tie you like this. That's when I started getting past.
Everybody has a story, but yours will only become our story when you share it.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
Indeed, Morning at NTV, the show that gets you started this Thursday. We now return to the Kampala Serena Hotel rooftop to Simon with the big story.
Welcome back. Thank you, Mabel. It's an interesting Thursday morning, and yes, the big story as is playing out everywhere in the country. Forget about all this sex talk I've been telling you about. Today we're discussing the Uganda Certificate of Education results. Many of you are abreast with newspapers where it's just stories of tears and joy. Maybe tears of joy at the same time, with these young girls and boys celebrating their victory over these examinations, but some are licking their wounds and counting their losses. This morning on the big story at Morning at NTV, we were getting a refreshing take. We're not talking to UNEB officials, government officials, ministry officials, school owners. We are speaking to the candidates themselves. We are speaking to two interesting, a lad and a lass, who scored different results from different schools, from different backgrounds, to tell us one about this whole experience of receiving results after such a long toil, how much they put in to get this result. And of course, picking their mind on what they think their future holds, what they want to be. Now, join me first. Of course, we deal with the ladies first phenomenon. I'm joined by a young, well, very young indeed, 17-year-old Tusabo Faith. Good morning and welcome to Morning at NTV.
Good morning to you.
Faith is a student, a former student of Liahona High School in Jinja. She scored 22 in 8. How did you feel when you received this result? Were you disappointed or were you happy and ecstatic?
I was somehow happy because I didn't expect that.
You expected worse or you expected better?
I expected better. I expected to get 8 teens, not to 20s.
And so now, do you feel your dreams have been shattered or you think you can make up for this lost time?
I can make up.
You can make up?
Yeah.
To what extent can you make up? What do you want to be?
I would like to become a surgeon and a business lady too.
That I'll be asking you much later. But what do you think explains why you did not get the teens as opposed to the 20s that you finally got?
The chemistry was difficult.
How difficult was it? Hadn't you been prepared enough for 4 years? You couldn't put together a chemical equation?
Okay. I practiced and did some equations, but they were somehow difficult that made me to go to 20s. So the others I did somehow good, but chemistry, physics, they shattered me down.
Chemistry and physics are the pillars of surgery, so to speak. How then will you be able to be a surgeon as opposed to now the fact that you failed chemistry? Will you still be able to be a surgeon?
I didn't fail, but I did somehow better, but not as I expected.
Oh, tremendous. Joining me again is the young man called John Nkore, who is Form 6 vacist, who just is also waiting with fingers crossed for his results to come out. And he was from Mariagori Kitende. John, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Simon.
You've been in the exact position that Faith is 2 years ago.
Yes.
When your results came, were you extremely disappointed? Were you extremely happy? Or were you, as you speak, there?
I'm in a 6 vacist, so the pressure is on, but of course knowing well that now that it is turned down to a combination, you really don't want to be on pressure, because then you did the subjects that you like, especially for the new system that has come in. You know, you do only 3 principles and then you stroke either computer or sub-math, and for me I didn't do the hard sub-math, so I did my computer, which was pretty easy.
I'm
So
taking you back to where you were 2 years ago at
S4.
Faith's position.
S4.
When your results finally came out, how did it feel for you?
It felt like a disappointment. You know, even when you get an 88. Of course, for me, I was especially looking at my friends, at my background especially. It was kind of a glitch. I received the exam, the results, and then I felt like, this was...
it could have been better.
Yeah, it could have been better. And then,
but you made the best out of it, got the combination you wanted, and proceeded to Form 6.
Yeah,
now, turn to you, Faith, who is now in a position of uncertainty. But let's get down to your preparation. Of course, we are reading all these interesting stories. I prayed to God to win. I didn't sleep for 2 hours. I slept for only 2 hours a day for me to be able to score 18.8. What extreme things were you forced to do to ensure that you get a good result?
I started reading at night, waking at exactly 2 to do winters. Those ones we call them winters. So I used to wake up, discussion groups, practicing where I was weak, consulting my friends, teachers, going for consultation every time, and doing some revisions like that. That's how I manage.
So as Faith, you put in the very best that you possibly could as an individual. What extent do you think your school may have disappointed you with regard to giving you the basics that you required to get that 8 on 8 that you so much wanted?
My school, okay, the teachers tried to, but some teachers used to come late in class. You consult a teacher sometimes. The teachers, okay,
they come late. They come at all, some of them?
Some of them, they don't come every time. They come sometimes, but they don't come usually. Okay, a teacher may say that I got, okay, maybe a problem when I'm coming. So you may consult, okay, even a friend. Then a friend pretends to know more. Yet when you give some ideas to your friend, you learn more. Some friends to pretend to know more.
But in your school, obviously, it's not one of those traditionally known schools in the eastern part of the country. There is Wairaka, there is farther down the road in Rugazi, there is Mount St. Mary's College, Namagunga. Did you ever feel that pressure that maybe students who are in these other traditional schools, Busoga College, Mwiri, were certainly, or Wanyange, were certainly going to be able to perform better than you, who was in a little private school called Liahona High School?
No, it depends. You may be in a big school, but when you don't read. You may be in these law schools, which they don't know, but when you read. So, a student from a law school...
Is it about reading, or it's about also being given the preparatory drills by your teachers?
Okay, it's both.
John, maybe for you a little bit maturer than her since you are in your Form 6 back, so I will use that 2-year difference for you to start debating something a bit political here. When you look at the way you eventually perform, who takes the brunt of this blame? Your parents struggle so hard and get the school fees that the schools require. In fact, some schools ask for more than just school fees. You take cement, you take Rex, you take JIC, you take almost all sorts of things. The teachers, like she said, sometimes come late, if at all. To what extent can the schools take the blame for the dismal performance that eventually plays out when the results come out?
To a greater extent. I don't think there's a dull student, because we serve these students right from the beginning of S1. So what is the school doing when they don't make up a child up to S4 with good results? I would believe that all students are dull until they are proven mad. Mad. So if a child is properly sensible, they will get up to their feet as long as their teachers are able to work on it and they work to their feet. The teachers are much to blame, like you have heard from Faith. Teachers don't appear, the teachers are demoralized, the head teachers speak bad on them. Even the moral of the teachers is just vague. For me, I would believe that maybe the private schools, because for me I've studied from both. And the private schools are much more better, facilitation-wise, the student to child.
The pupil to child ratio is much better. But
better.
Isn't that a reflection of how much the parents have got to fork out to go to these private schools?
Yes, a lot of money, by the way.
So what happens to those who are unfortunate enough not to be able to afford these schools? Shall we relegate them to schools that are unable to give them the basic skills that they require? Are you saying that, John?
I think then we go back to government at Yambe. I think the government should style up here. The thing is that government should work upon their schools, because it's the children of the country then they are facilitating anyway. So if they're giving little and some students are lacking, others who are in private schools are gaining. What is the government to play then?
Remind us of your combination.
HLD, history, literature, and divinity.
What do you want to be in the future?
I want to be a journalist.
When you look at journalism, have you been guided to believe that journalism is the thing for you to do?
Yeah.
What makes you think that journalism is the thing for you to do? What gave you the conviction that to be a journalist is what's going to put bread on your table and the kind of bread that you'd want to enjoy with your family?
Because when I look at Simon Kasiate, he's dressed well, I would want to be like him. And so maybe for me, I am also wired like that. I'm wired to a lot of talking, wired to a lot of camera things.
You love the glitz and glare of cameras.
Absolutely.
And not so much for the fact that there could possibly be an oversupply of journalists in this country. Most people are studying journalism or are able to perform journalism without necessarily having studied it. And at the end of the day, there possibly is no job for you when you qualify as a journalist.
I believe it's a matter of you playing your game right. There are very many graduates, fresh graduates who are already working. So what are the rest doing? I think it's about playing your job right, what you can do better, doing it at your best. I think it's about learning the art of making the job, making proper proposals, speaking well, being up to game. It's not about what you have academically, by the way. In this country, it's a lot more than that. Because academically, we have been derailed, we are pushed down. And so I'm thinking, because even corruption is on, there's technical know-hows.
So it's about positioning yourself as a combination of what you study. I'll turn to you, Faith, who wants to become a surgeon and a businesswoman. Who gave you this motivation to think that surgery is what's going to necessarily impress upon you and give you a job?
Okay, there is my aunt of mine who is a surgeon. So I enjoy seeing her putting on those suits. The
white coat.
The white coats, going to the hospitals to make operations to people.
Do you have an idea what happens in an operation theater? What exactly she's going to face?
Yeah, I see.
The blood that she's going to look at, up to, the dying people that she's going to save, the risk that her person could actually die. Are you ready to have blood on your head of somebody who you've operated and the person, or blood on your fingers because it's some kind of dirty work?
It's not dirty, but the way you do your work. Now it depends. For me, I want to be a neuron surgeon.
Neuron surgeon.
Yeah.
You've heard of stories playing out in the media of how doctors are complaining that they are not paid enough given their skills. You've seen that our health system is falling apart. The hospitals don't have drugs, they don't have operating theaters. And yet you want to go and work in those dilapidated infrastructure. Do you have your career guidance right?
For me, I want to be with my private hospital. I want to be with my own hospital, so I be the doctor of that hospital.
Faith, does it occur to you that to have your own private hospital, you must start up with some level of capital?
Yeah.
Where do you think you're going to get this capital from?
I will start working from those government, I know government hospitals.
But if government hospital workers who are doctors are complaining not to earn enough to even feed their own selves, how will you be able to accumulate the amount of capital that's required to start up your own private practice?
That's what I say, that I will be even a business lady, so that I can get more capital from the business which I will be operating, and even where I will be working.
Do you intend to inherit this business from somebody, or you intend to start that business? Because also business requires capital. So where will you get the capital?
I will work.
Where will you work to get this capital? Like I said, being a surgeon will require that you need no money.
Money. And okay, I'm sponsored, by the way.
Oh, you are?
I have a sponsor, is in USA. So she told me that she will, if I accomplish my course at campus, she will help me to build my hospital, or I will take it there at USA, Oregon State. So she will help me. That's what she said.
That is considering all factors constant, that your relationship with your sponsor continues to grow, and that the sponsor, God forbid, remains alive. Do you ever take time off to attend career guidance classes? Was there career guidance in your school? Teachers or even more senior citizens coming to your school to talk to you about professions and how they play out in the job market?
At our school, by the way, it's low. It's there in Jinja and Jeru Town. So those people don't usually come at our school.
So in other words, you have where did you pick the word neurosurgeon that you want to be? From newspapers, from TV, from soap magazine like Grey's Anatomy? I mean, where do you pick this from? Is it just a figment of your imagination?
No.
Or you are looking at doing a course that will resonate with the needs of the people or your community where you come from?
No, I got that from my auntie, I told you. So she inspired me to do, because the way I see her status is good. The way I see her, she's good, okay. That inspired me. So me too, I want to be like her.
John, I'll turn to you, and of course starting off from her saying that her inspiration is drawn from her aunties, and your inspiration to become a journalist is drawn from me, who for the sake of our viewers need to understand that you and I are related in more ways than one. Now, is it because you look at the people around you and admire them for their demeanor, or do you actually take some time off to talk to people, to try to find out, do some research, talk to your teachers, find out from them which jobs are actually selling and which of those jobs are within your realms of academic competence?
I did my research in my S4, like when I was going to choose the combinations for my A-level. But then, of course, that was a challenge. My mother didn't want me to, to be involved in walk to work. By that time, and she said, man, journalists suffer. What? But you see, my tagline of thought was already straight.
So there is an element of our parents coming in to determine what we eventually be in the future.
But for me,
possibly that the doctor that your mother did not become but wanted to be, she may want to put it on you for you to be a doctor. And maybe the lawyer that your father didn't become, he wants you to become that lawyer. And then for you, you want to have your own space and be the journalist that you want to be. To what extent does that create conflict between you and your parents? Because let's not forget, these are your benefactors. They will pay you school fees for whatever choice you make. Isn't there a risk that it bother you that your parents possibly, when you choose a very radical combination, they can decide to pull the plug and leave you to wallow?
I think there is a risk, but then they will not forget that they are parents still. There is a risk because they're educating a child. They are not paying money to force onto something. I don't want to be an efficient doctor. I don't want to just be a doctor and put on a coat after, then go for business like what Faith did. I want to be a very competent person at my job.
Give your 100% commitment.
Absolutely. I don't want to be a teacher, then after class, I run out and,
operate a shop.
Absolutely.
Don't you think that will happen when you become a journalist? Do you think journalism would be a full-time job for you to earn a lot? Or should I tell you the honest truth about journalism, that it doesn't pay as well as you think it does? Then don't ask me where I get my expensive sweets, eh?
Oh yeah, I did my extensive research. Like I said, I don't want to be an ineffective someone.
But how many of your peers, if I may ask both of you, how many of your peers have got that kind of outlook like you and her share, that she's lucky to be exposed to an auntie who's a neurosurgeon and inspires her, and you are lucky to go out of your way and try to find out information about a course you intend to do? Do most of your peers take that time off, or they simply impulsively apply for courses and combinations because they sound en vogue?
I think some peers take the initiative, to research. But again, I just had to say this, it's a fallen world. People now just go study, and then if you have a 1 in physics, then your ultimate combination will have a physics. If you have a 1 in chemistry, then oh my god, since chemistry was failed, you'll be like, hey, I think I'm worth this. They are just spending themselves on Facebook, on WhatsApp. It's a fallen world, and I just hate to say this because I think one of my duties is to impulse my peers to to get up in game and then to play their role in society.
Interesting. Now I'll turn to you, Faith. You know that Uganda recently discovered oil, and everybody's talking about oil like that magic bullet that's going to quickly kick us out of poverty. Wouldn't it be interesting that you would align your future around the oil industry? Study maybe oil engineering, or maybe oil medicine, whatever you want to call it. Why do you want to be a neurosurgeon when there are opportunities in the oil industry? Are you hoping that people who are working in oil are going to get neurologic problems and they'll run to you?
Do you know what I want to be is a neurosurgeon. I don't mind of becoming an engineer, what, because I want to help these people. More these days there are no doctors of surgeons, they are limited because they usually call them from US, China. People are taken to China for that.
India, South Africa, even here in neighboring Kenya.
So I want
but we've also heard that most of the people who work on our dignitaries when they go outside Uganda are actually Ugandan doctors. That you find Ugandan doctors are working in a Pretoria hospital, are working in a New Delhi hospital, they are working in Australia. And that's what we call brain drain, that this country is unable to retain you, and so you go and look for greener pastures outside. Is that what you're looking forward to go and earn your money from outside but serving a different community, not the Ugandan community?
No, I love my country, so I want to work for my country.
You want to work for your country?
Yeah.
And you're determined to do that?
Yeah.
And no matter what hardships come your way, you're willing to go the course?
Yeah, I'll work much.
Of course, she says she wants to be a neurosurgeon, and that's a department in medicine. You want to be a journalist. What kind of journalist?
I want to be a broadcaster. a presenter, a mouthpiece for people, you know, to listen to me.
John, I'm more inclined to think that you actually love the Hollywood lights and cameras kind of action, not serious going down to the trenches, and indeed, like your mother says, you don't want to go down to get tear gassed and beaten up in demonstrations and the like. What kind of journalist are you wired for beyond simply appearing on cameras and looking good?
Broadcasting, like I said, a little more computer-related things, transitioning. I heard about videography, audiography. I want to do photography also, just to get the broader picture. Or if I can measure in broadcasting, then I'll be the best I can be for this country.
A 19-year-old lad and a 17-year-old lass discussing their future prospects on the backdrop of the recently released Uganda Certificate of Education results. They have their dreams. Their dreams are big. For many of you watching us, you had similar dreams but end up being something else. What went wrong? I'll be back with Simon Says. Well, when I was a lot younger, every morning I woke up with a new dream of being anything in the world. One moment I woke up like a doctor, another morning I woke up like a lawyer, the next morning I woke up like an engineer, and as time went by, I realized that anything that I can be, I was able to be it. But as I grew older, the choices narrowed down. Eventually, what has happened almost 40 years down the road, I am simply what I am. A journalist and nothing more. I possibly will never be a lawyer, I possibly will never be a surgeon, I possibly will never be all those grand things I dreamt of being, simply because time and ambition have a way of sorting themselves out to the narrow focus of what you eventually end up being. Now you who are still lucky to have the choices spread right before you, you can be anything. How much are you working towards the focus of being that you want to be? What influences are you getting from people around you, your parents, your teachers, your kith and kin? And for you who are providers and parents and teachers, how much are you guiding your children, our children, to ensure that they realize their dream or guide them to become that will be needed in the future of this country? Look around yourself. What is it that you would want as a service, as a job, or what do you think will be paying in the near future? Are you grooming your child to be that something? Now, it's a combination of self, it's a combination of society. Like we say in Africa, a child is raised by an entire village. We may cry half and puff over a poor education system, but career guidance is almost as important, and that will not only take the school system or the education system, but will take the system of a community coming together to raise their children as we have always done. A village raising a child into a responsible citizen. Are you showing a good example? Keep it up. If you're not, turn around, for you may never know how much of a role model negative you may be to someone watching you. Have a wonderful morning. It's Morning at NTV. We continue with more quality programming, but from us at The Big Story, it's a wrap.
Yo!
Aro, give me 5 stress, 3 gonorrhea.
Kale muli wano, you think you've brought capacas omwana yenna asobola okugamba super deep si myaka gyaffe.
I'm like, I like my swag too. So what about it? Then she was like, I also like your accent, that village accent. Now
mwagala mchimbi wana kuza kele chili chano chili okay wale nsanyufu weneyoka political tayakana nomuzanga nakajawa
kati nekambuuza mukabete why are you crying nekagamba abasajja engeri gye bafulumiza mu lukwago.
I think I'm Big Mitch. Larry Hoover. Put that in Kiprochichi's accent.
I think I'm Big Mitch. Larry Hoover.
Coming soon on NTV.
Many generations ago, the warrior Apoena from the Karaway tribe fell in love with young Antonia. When they returned to the Araguaia River with the young white girl carrying their child, they awoke Iaru's hatred. Raised away from the curse, Solana Rangel, the last descendant of Antonia and Apuena, returns to uncover his roots, but he couldn't resist Estella's charm. But she keeps a secret in the past.
Estella.
Her real name is Estrella Caru, and her destiny is to fulfill the curse. Destiny River.
Coming soon on NTV.
The Ministry of Health, together with the Office of the First Lady and Kampala Capital City Authority, with honor, invite you to a public rally on the elimination of mother-to-child transmission of HIV in Kampala City. The guest of honor will be the First Lady and EMTCT champion, Mrs. Janet Museveni. The rally will take place this Friday, 28th February 2014 at Kololo Airstrip, starting at 10 a.m. Stand out, participate, and protect. Have an HIV-free baby.
On the next episode of
Where I put my problems, where you want to find pleasure, I don't know. Chikola chitecho. Olaba tukano kumukazi nengano olwenu. Mga baby, you know, akawo.
Do you have a girlfriend? Okay, I used to have like 3 weeks ago, but I chucked her. I don't want disturbance. Before you chucked her, had you gone together? Yeah, we go together everywhere. No. Had you been together in bed? Which one are you talking about? You mean Jugu Jugu? Yes.
Jesus Christ. Walala. Omubi. Pensaba come out in
Yo!
Aro. Give me 5 stress. 3 gonorrhea.
Kale muli wano, you think you've brought capasas. Omwana yena sobola gamba super deep. Si miaka jafe.
I'm like, I like my swag too. So what about it? Then she was like, I also like your accent. That village accent. Now.
Kati mwagala mchimbimbili wana kuza kele chili chianu chili okay wale tensanyu fu weneka political tayakana nombozanga nakajawa.
Kati nekambuza mukabete why are you crying? Nekagamba abasajja engeri gye bafulumiza mu lukwako.
I think I'm Big Mitch. Larry Hoover. Put that in Kiprotichi's accent.
I think I'm Big Mitch. Rare Hoover.
She was molested when she was 6 by someone she trusted.
The doctors finally walked into the door. They basically were telling me that she had a 5% chance of living.
I couldn't understand how somebody that tells you they loved you, that held you as a child, could abuse you.
Tommy Scott grew up among gang violence, drugs, and poverty in the projects of South Central Los Angeles.
I felt not normal, not good. I wasn't lovable.
As a teen, Melissa discovered that drinking gave some relief.
Tommy is free today and continues to tell people that it was Jesus who changed his life.
The time I spent in prison, I spent putting my ideas together on, how I was going to come back and make it all right.
And I realized my purpose, that I was created to reflect the glory of God.
Duke now realizes why God kept him alive.
These were real people facing desperate situations, just like you and me.
Jesus died to set you free, and he can give you a new heart.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
A very good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. 6 minutes after 8 o'clock, and we are live from the Kampala Serena Hotel rooftop. And if you're just joining us, we had an amazing first hour. Simon Kasete there on the big story, chatting up an S4 Vakis who has just received her results. Not very excited about the results, but we are also focusing on some of the things that these students go through, all in the name of passing exams. And I was talking to Joel earlier, and you meet a child who is literally 8 years old with a big bag, with homework up to this side. When do these children get an opportunity to actually be children? And of course, your comments, very interesting comments on our Facebook page. And Issa Iga Simon Chugong saying, the results are not pleasing, but all to blame are the teachers who have tried not to teach, but aim on passing exams. Schools no longer produce practical scholars, but mainly theoretical ones who pass exams because of cram work. And John Kansime appreciating Simon Alex's faith perception towards sciences. She really is determined. I just advise her to continue with that, and she will finally make it as a surgeon. And very good therefore, you know, from Kansime. I'm totally disappointed by these people putting all the blame on teachers. What about the unserious students, parents, and the government? You people ought to be too analytical in this. In any case, these teachers are only to blame at a small extent. Your comment or suggestion on those avenues, Facebook, and of course you can tweet us at morning@NTV. Feel free to tag us at Kasiate, at MBGold2, at Mebkeb, at Joel Senyonyi, and at NTV Uganda. If you're just leaving office, what are the roads to avoid or to take? Coming up, your traffic report. And it's exactly 8 after 8. This morning we are very, we've got so much feedback from you. You can be a traffic reporter by sending that picture wherever you are, or going to our Facebook page, morning@NTV, or you can feel free to WhatsApp it to 0-7-16730. That is 0-7-16730. WhatsApp that picture to that number. You can alternatively tweet that picture at morning@NTV. And I wish you could send it as an SMS, but unfortunately you can. And the guys that were here yesterday for the Media Lab will definitely develop a software where you can send that picture as an SMS, maybe an MMS alternatively. Okay, let's head into the pictures from Tisasi Bukoto. It was too thick, and this was sent about 20 minutes ago. It's probably still the same at this time. And we head over to Radio Simba. Around Radio Simba, that was the traffic at that point. And of course, as the road goes down to Chira Road Police Station, the traffic is kind of normal until it's busy again at Kamocha. And we also have a picture coming in from James at Fairway Hotel. That is the picture there for you. Wherever you're stuck, please update us and become a traffic reporter here on Morning@NTV. Mabel is standing by with our birthday wishes. Who is born today? Over to you, Mabel.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much, Brian. Usually on your birthday, you kind of walk with a spring in your step. So today we would like to be part of the springs in the steps of the following. Bridget Muyimbwa, who works with Tropical Bank. She studied at Chambogo University, and we hope we have made you smile this morning, Bridget. Osman Kabonge too, who went to Kawempe Muslim Secondary School and actually works here at NTV. Happy birthday to you too, Osman. And Farida Mbabazi, who studied at Chambogo University and works now with Hotel Africana. We hope to get some cake from the hotel later on. Remember, you can send us your birthday greetings. 6565 is the text line. You can tweet us at morning@NTV. And of course, we have our Facebook page. If you haven't already liked our Facebook page, I do not know what you are waiting for to like our Facebook page. This is our Facebook page. Very beautiful, if you ask me. 7,745 5 likes, and we update you about the show and also about other events happening. Like you can see who the guest is for Everyday Life today. I will not mention who she is. Stay around and watch. To some of your messages this morning, Emmanuel John says, I thought of medicine, but as time ran out, I'm doing agriculture at Gulu on government. I don't regret because my parents have supported me all along and are happy because I relieved them of tuition, which they would probably not manage. And then we have someone appreciating the fact that morning at NTV has made their morning beautiful. We are giving you colorful days. Thank you, Joseph, for that wonderful message. I think this is in reference to the press review. Someone says, to hell with the help, since it's all embezzled. So with or without, Uganda will always be a God-fearing nation. And then we have people still have beef with Simon, I can see. And Emmanuel, who woke up early, said, thank you for waking me up once again. I pray that the good Lord who gave us a good night will bless this day. When I awake, I think of morning at NTV. What a good way to wake up with morning at MTV. Thanks for the show. And then Adolf here says, why are these whites forcing us to support gay men? It's like someone tells us that if we don't if we don't eat bad food, I won't give you help. Let them go to hell with their donations. Long live Sevo. Wow, it's interesting the language that is used here. Yeah, someone is saying that we should begin either with a gospel song or a Bible reading. We actually do have an inspirational moment, so you need to wake up earlier in order to catch that inspiration moment from around 5 a.m. And some comments on the press review. Simon Chigongo says the head teachers must be held liable and pay for the students who have their exams held, because it's them who influence all these malpractices in their schools, looking for good grades. Now we return to Brian at the Kampala Serena Hotel rooftop for the HTC moment.
Every idea we have begins with you. The way you connect, how you browse, how you share, and how you interact with the world around you. Down to the last detail, you inspire everything. Because in the end, innovation doesn't really matter unless it does something that really matters to you. And we are HTC.
It's exactly 15 after 8 o'clock, wherever you're joining us, whether in your office, on your office telly, or at home and you're still stuck in bed. Some people have been blaming us for making them, you know, if their workplace is late, come on, you can get a cut TV. Probably that would be more risky. But you can also stream live, youtube.com/NTVUganda. And we have people joining online right now from the US, from China, from someone told me they're in Liberia right now watching the show. Thank you so much. And of course, those that have subscribed for NTV in the diaspora, thank you so much. You can also subscribe to our YouTube page. Also follow us on Twitter, Morning at NTV. This morning, Everyday Life powered by HTC Quietly Brilliant. We have an opportunity for you to take home this beautiful HTC phone. And some of you told me, Brian, stop showing us your HTC. You know, you're making us jealous. So today I'm not going to talk about that. But I'm giving you this phone. And all you have to do is answer very simple questions. And during this week, we'll give out 4 phones. Last week we gave out 3 phones. You saw LC Muha enjoying his phone. He tweets a lot with it and is trying to learn some of the things therein. Now you might be asking, what is this phone about? One, it is 131.8 by 66.2 by 10.1 millimeters. It's it's not very big, but it's only 120 grams. It's a very portable phone. And some of the things that you guys like, is it a multi-touch? Yes, it is a multi-touch. And it has an audio where you can place your jack pin. For example, some of you will put music on this phone and then connect it to your car radio or your home theater system. You can do that with this phone. And it had a memory card slot of up to 32 GB. Awesome. This is so much. You can watch movies on this phone. Yeah. And an internal memory of 4 GB also, 512 MB of RAM. And it has GPRS, it has edge technology, and of course, wherever you are, if there's a Wi-Fi hotspot, you can get that. You can also connect a USB cable to it and transfer videos or pictures from your laptop or from your computer to this phone. Now, one of the things that is very popular about this phone is the camera. It's a 5 megapixel camera, and most of you take selfies with this thing, you know, especially women. Somehow you always target the eyes or the lips. What's up? Some of your selfies are a bit weird. But it has the 5 megapixel camera, can enable you to do all that with an autofocus and a VGA slot. Please grab any of these phones at the HTC shop at Forest Mall. And now the questions to answer. Question number 1. What time does Fit and Fab air on the show? Who is the host of The Big Story? Give any 4 topics Everyday Life has discussed in the past 2 weeks, and name any 3 models of the HTC phones, and you could walk away with this beautiful phone. And good luck to all of you. Now, parenting and adoption can be very tricky. To some people, they've gone into parenting and adoption as an alternative. Maybe they've not had, God has not blessed them with their own biological children, but also some of them have said, well, there's so many kids in the world, why not? Let me take up one that have not given birth to biologically. This morning, we are going to share a testimony of a parent that decided to do this. If you've been thinking about this, this is your opportunity, and I have an amazing guest this morning. You will be surprised. Before we get into that, coming up, of course, on Everyday Life.
Everyday Life is brought to you by...
And we are HTC.
And parenting and adopting can be very complicated. However, if you place the two together, you might have all kinds of new and different complications you never expected. We'll kind of look at the intricacies of this, but also especially the upside of adoption. Before we delve into that discussion, take a look at the profile of a very interesting guest this morning. There you go, Rukshana, this morning. A very good morning. This time you're on the other side, and I'm really excited.
I know, it feels very awkward
Yes.
being on the other side
Yes.
of the bench.
How have you been?
I've been a little bit under the weather, but on the whole, great.
Some people keep asking me, okay, does she just read news? What does she do when she's not reading news?
I'm a full-time mother. That's what I do when I'm not reading news. No, seriously, I'm a full-time mother, but I'm also a communications consultant.
Okay.
Yes.
Rukshana, this first of all, I must confess that when I heard about this, I just thought to myself, wow, that is very brave. I've always wanted to adopt, but I've never had such inspiration so close, and you know, first, what prompted you to get into this? Because you know, this is a very tough decision.
It is a very difficult, decision to make. But I must say, it was a long time coming. It's something that I knew I would always do when I was a lot younger, in my early 20s. I knew that I would adopt a baby.
Right.
The circumstances were different though, because I wanted to get married, have maybe 1 or 2 birth children, and then adopt a child. That was the plan. But plans change, you know, plans always change. So I decided one day that this marriage thing was taking a little bit too long, and I wanted a baby. So I decided to get information about adoption, and I decided to adopt a child.
How exactly was it? Did you just wake up and say, okay, whatever child you bring me, I'm ready?
No, actually, I procrastinated a lot, like most people do. Because I believe if I had done it the time that I was seriously thinking about it, my daughter would probably be maybe about 10 by now. But I was a bit worried. I wasn't sure I could afford it, for starters. And I wasn't sure it's something that Ugandans typically do.
Yes.
You know, I mean, most people believe, and I, like most people at that time, thought, that's something Bazungus do, you know? Rich Bazungus who are bored. That's
they
what
come
they
here
do.
and then
they
take
adopt
the kids.
babies.
I know a baby's home in Jinja where it has become a center of attraction.
Yeah.
You know, the Bazungus are always taking the kids away.
So for a long time I did procrastinate about it. But then there was a campaign that started running about 3 years ago called Ugandans Adopt.
Yes.
And they were running documentaries and talk shows on NTV, incidentally. And I thought, wait a minute, Ugandans can actually adopt.
Right.
And it is not complicated.
Yes.
So I woke up one morning, of course after a lot of thinking, talking to a couple of people, planning, doing my maths, and I walked into this institution, Child's Eye Foundation, got the information, and I started the process.
Going back to what prompted you, my personal reasons have been, it would be nice to adopt. It's one of those things I've always thought about. Some people will say, you know what, like I had earlier talked about, some people say there are so many kids that are abandoned. Let me take up one. Your earlier reasons, was it just out of the thing? Oh, I think it would be really cool to get a child.
To be honest, it was something like, I think it would be really nice. I think it would be nice to make a difference in the life of this one child.
Right.
That was my earlier reason.
Tell us about your child.
Oh, God. How much time do we have? Well, she's I met her when she was 4 months old. Right now, she's about to make 2. She makes 2 years next month. And she's an amazing child. She's an amazing child. I see a lot of me in her.
Really?
Yes. Which is a great thing because, I see a lot of me in her. I guess we, as parents, we kind of rub off children, even though they're not our birth children. There's a lot of influence that we impart on our children, whether or not they are birth children. She's a very naughty girl. She's overly confident,
like you,
which is a good thing. And she's very aggressive, even at that age. And I think she's going to be an amazing woman.
Just like you.
Oh, thank you.
You got the baby at 4 months, and
yeah.
That's so young.
Young.
And such a fragile moment. I have an 8-month-old son, and I get freaked out sometimes. How did you handle that?
To be honest, it wasn't very easy at the start. But before I got her, I went through a phase of being prepared. Like I said, I got her from Child's Eye Foundation. They run a home in Kampala called Malaika Babies Home, and they make sure that you are prepared before they actually give you a child. So you go through a lot of training, you talk to a lot of parents, adoptive parents, people who've walked the journey with you, so you're able to understand what the challenges are, and you basically get prepared mentally. But also, I have nieces and nephews, and I have changed diapers, I can assure you. I have changed so many diapers, and I've been around kids a lot, and I love kids. So it wasn't so difficult. The challenge, though, is one of the things that you worry about as an adoptive parent is, will I be able to bond with this child? Because I didn't carry her 9 months in my womb, so I'm thinking, what if we don't click? What if we don't gel? And that's a bit of a worry. But when you get them a lot younger, then you have more time and opportunities to bond with them.
Is it easier, and you've interacted with many parents that have adopted, is it easier to get this young baby than bringing a guy who is like 12 years, has had whatever influence they've had for 12 years, and it's kind of hard to rewind the mistakes and correct everything from then?
It is my considered opinion, and I choose my words very carefully. It is my considered opinion that it is easier to deal with a baby as opposed to a child who's already formed habits and attitudes. So you find most people who go in for adoption take babies as opposed to kids who are a lot older. Because it's kind of difficult to mold a child who's already gone past a certain stage. So it's easier to deal with babies.
How did your family take it?
Well, initially there was a bit of apprehension, you know, because they didn't understand why. It's like it's something I just dumped on them. Because I hadn't, when I was going through the thought process, I didn't really involve them because I thought they're going to ask me so many questions and they'll make me change my mind. And I don't like changing my mind about certain things. So when I was ready, I told them, guys, I'm going to adopt. And of course they had so many questions. They were like, what happens if the birth parents show up? What happens if this child does not like you? What happens if this child grows up and they want to know who their family is? But what I then had to do was make sure that I provide them with the information that they needed to sort of allay their fears and concerns and buy in. And it wasn't very difficult. But it wasn't very difficult when they saw her. Everyone fell in love with her immediately.
Right.
Like, totally.
And you see now, and I know some people are going to kill me for this, that's where the problem is, when you see the baby. Do you choose the baby that you're going to get? Because I remember you talked about Malaika Baby's Home, and we went there and we talked to some of the ladies that work there. And, you know, someone asked a very sarcastic question. Now, what if the baby is too ugly and I don't want the baby? Do you get, do you say, I want that one?
I think that's really ridiculous. And I have heard people actually ask those questions. But think about it, Brian. When you have your birth child, do you know if your child is going to be cute or not?
No, you just pray they are cute.
Exactly. Right. Similarly, why should you choose a baby purely based on their looks? Besides, looks change. I mean, it's obvious looks change. I mean, if we pulled out some people's photos when they were babies, yeah? Nasty. Looks change. So no, you don't really get to choose a child in that sense. What happens is the home does a profile on you as the adoptive parent. Because of course you go through this phase where they talk to you, interview you, and they have this thick dossier on you, and they profile you and they profile the children that they have. Right. So they kind of figure, I think this child would best suit Rukshana. So once you face the panel, because you do face a panel, you face a panel of about maybe 8 people, and they interview you and they want to be sure you're ready to adopt and you're the right kind of parent for this kid. If they say, fine, we're happy, we're going to give you a child, then they send you a profile of one child.
It's that aggressive?
Yes, it is that aggressive, depending on where you go.
Right.
But it is that intense. It is very intense. So they send you a profile of one child, and they say, this is the child we think is best suited for your family.
Rukshana,
would you like to take her or not?
You read the profile of your child?
Yes.
There was no point at that time when you thought, oh my gosh, am I doing the right thing?
No, there was never, ever any doubt in my mind. I remember I picked up the phone immediately because the profile was sent by email. I picked up the phone and I said, I don't need time to think about it. This is my daughter. I don't even want to think about it. This is her. And looking back now, retrospect, I believe I made the right choice.
Wow.
She's perfect.
We're hanging out with Rukshana this morning. We all know her for Weekend Edition. We are not talking about the Weekend Edition today. And we're looking at adoption. If you've been thinking about it, maybe, you know, her testimony is giving you something to think about this morning. Other people have chosen to adopt. Rukshana chose to adopt because she wanted to do that. I think we're also in the same category. I really want to adopt a child. Other people have chosen to adopt because of infertility issues, yeah? And you know, others, while they're waiting for God to bless them with a child, they'll take on other children. And what is your reason? Feel free to let us know on our Facebook page. And of course, you can ask Rukshana some questions too. You've talked about the family, the birth mother coming up. Is there that opportunity that they give you, maybe if the child actually has birth parents and they're still alive, or in the end, I think some homes do what they call resettlement. When they notice that the birth family is good and ready to take care of the child, they'll ask the parent to resettle the baby back.
Resettlement is the first option for children that are in institutions. It always should be the first option. No child should be given up for adoption as long as they have known family. So typically children that get given up for adoption, again, depending on where you go, are children who have no known family. What does this mean? This means that the home has actually done all the due diligence to ensure that they have tried to find relatives and they have failed. Only and only then can they give up a child for adoption. But there is always a fear that someone will show up one day and say, that is my child.
Yes.
That is a child to someone I know. And that is why we have the 3-year fostering period legally, because you cannot adopt a child legally until you have fostered for 3 years.
So at this point,
I'm still fostering, yes, and I'm looking at the clock and thinking it has to tick very fast.
You've so far gone 1.5 years, about.
Yes,
Yeah.
about 1.5 years.
The child stays with you.
She does stay with me.
Do they monitor you? Do they?
I have a social worker who comes home very frequently to check on the baby, make sure she's fine, make sure the conditions are okay, make sure the things that I promised I would do are okay, make sure we still live where we said we live and the child has not been trafficked.
Yes.
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 So that really does happen.
Yes.
Yes.
We have some interesting comments here. Iga Simon Chigon saying, what a wonderful smile, Rukshana. You're very smart in that yellow top. Dude, focus
Like,
on
seriously?
the really? I watched a drama on NTV that made me hate women that adopt children, but you sound like a good man. TV Trio. Adoption is a cool experience to do because you help out somebody in need. Thanks, Rukshana. That is from Richie Zibbs. And Elvis Senyonjo saying, you guys really make me want to be a presenter. Guys, focus on the what are the procedures taken to adopt? And this is a question coming in from Edwin Abenaitwe.
Okay, the first
What was it for you?
For me, I walked into Malaika Baby's home and I made an inquiry. I said I'd like to adopt a child. They gave me documents, certain pieces of information, that this is what you need to know. Okay? And there's certain legal processes. But I think the most important thing is to first get to understand whether you are eligible for adoption. You have to be a certain age above the baby if you're adopting. If you're a single parent, either a mom or a guy, you can only adopt same-sex baby.
Right.
So I, for instance, could not have easily adopted a male child
Yes.
for obvious reasons.
Yes.
Similarly, a single man cannot adopt a female child.
Right.
You know, and so key thing is to actually walk into any home, and there's so many homes, any home of your choice, and get the information that you need. You know, and start thinking about it. Talk to your family, because it's important that your family is on board. If you're a married person, it's important that your spouse is on the same page as you are, because this child will have to get legal rights like your birth children. So it's important that everyone is on board.
Right. Some people have said in Uganda it's very hard to adopt. You know what? You're making me very jealous right now. So I am. Someone is asking, is Rukshana married? You got your answer there. Patience Brenda, we also asked you, what do you think about child adoption? Patience Brenda Chomhendo says, I think it is fine as long as both parties agree, and I believe it can be easier when the child is still young enough. Alan is saying, I think that's one of the best ways of giving a helping hand to those in need. It's a good idea if it's done with good intentions. Ngarambe Daniel, why is it that most adopting parents prefer to take on girls as opposed to boys? What's the problem with adopting boys? Rukshana has told you, if you are, if you are not yet married, you're likely to adopt the same sex.
Yes.
Child. And I guess more women love adopting. Guys, we kind of run away from such things. So our boys are being left there. And the ladies are, most of the single ladies I know have also adopted children. So, and of course the possible options are girls only. And there are so many comments there. Rukshana will get onto this page and answer some of those questions. But if you want more information on this, we'll also put up the contact of where Rukshana got her child. What's the name of your baby?
She's called Malaika.
Malaika. And you call her your daughter, and you know, that's very impressive. That
it has nothing to do with the home, by the way. Yeah. She's just an angel. Yeah.
Right. Thanks, Ruk, for coming.
Pleasure.
All right. You can catch Rukshana tomorrow on Weekend Edition and get updated with the latest in the world of news. Isma is standing by for sports. Isma, good morning. What do we have this morning?
There is a lot of and do join me. We'll discuss a bit of golf. We'll talk about the Ugandan boxer J. Vegas Lubega, who is fighting this weekend, and that will be live on SuperSport. I'm looking forward to it. And then Mitchell discusses a bit about what he thinks of the feud between the Uganda Cranes and KCC, and also the BBC was doing something unseen in Germany for Real Madrid. There's no reason why you should walk away from morning at NTV.
So much, Isma, and it's exactly 22 minutes onto 9 o'clock. Coming to you live from the Kampala Serena Hotel rooftop. We'll be right back with the sports update. Good morning.
Everyday Life was brought to you by...
And we are HTC. Every idea we have begins with you. The way you connect.
Good morning.
How you browse. How you share. And how you interact with the world around you.
Your relationship with your God is the most important thing.
Have a company of people who have got a similar mindset. How do you want people to think, feel, and act after your talk? In other words, what's your objective?
You inspire everything. Because in the end, innovation doesn't really matter unless it does something that really matters to you. And we are HTC.
The Ministry of Health, together with the Office of the First Lady and Kampala Capital City Authority, with honor, invite you to a public rally on the elimination of mother-to-child transmission of HIV in Kampala City. The guest of honor will be the First Lady and EMTCT champion, Mrs. Janet Museveni. The rally will take place this Friday, 28th February 2014 at Kololo Airstrip, starting at 10 a.m. Stand out, participate, and protect. Have an HIV-free baby.
I was going to my hall, someone came from my back and was
How? Tugenda okwera kekiro. Yanga mwami omanyi? Olakeko nange omulundi gw'ogusembayo.
I went to the nurse and I asked why is it that our father is negative and for us we are positive?
Every time I find a story of assault of one person to another, I get disturbed.
Mwayombye ekiro lwaleeta suzeewo lwe bakwokezza. Nazeepoza kimu nti mujja wange yanjokezza.
Kino ekyafa kino kyali kyakulira muno mu lubuto.
The Irene I know just loves music and loves to sing. I've never seen her even smoke a cigarette.
The days of legal trade in slaves are history, following its abolition in the 1800s.
They tie you like this. That's when I started getting past.
Everybody has a story, but yours will only become our story when you share it.
On the next episode of
This time around tukuletedde ebyenjawulo nga mumuli nno omuyimbi Catherine Kusasira alonkinga akulutano nyini nga tulya ko mbunakaga embeera gyayisemu
buli muntu ajinyonyola bubwe omulala gamba nakoowa lwanaga nti zeefirawo lwanaga nti njagalako
wenaga nti nayagalako
ate omulala nagamba byendabye mbirabye nabyalabye bye mutamanyi musirikire
tugenda kukubira omuziki omukadde oyinza okuyita oldies muziki wa zamani wa zakale wa sexy nasikia sauti mzuri sana walirodawa olwokutana weekend
On to 9 o'clock, coming to you live from the Kampala Serena Hotel rooftop. And if you're just heading over to office, it's very hot this morning. Yeah, it's very hot, and we're definitely feeling it. Feels like Australia without cricket. This morning in the world of sports, it's my NTV backing up the Lady Captain's Prize. And of course, we're giving out 15 million. It's set for March 15th as a send-off for our boss, Agi Konde. The sponsorship is a major part of sports, okay? Yeah. And how much does this support lift the status of the tournament? Especially, and how Ugandans think about golf.
First of all, the Lady Captain's Prize for me is the second biggest tournament outside of the Uganda Ladies Open. So when it gets its kind of backing, it can only be an endorsement to the tournament taking place. And I know Agi Konde, who is the managing director here, has been the lady captain of the Uganda Ladies Golf Union, and she's not seeking a second term. How many Ugandans wouldn't seek a second term?
And that is quite commendable, boss.
Yeah, not to seek a second term. Hopefully, in so many things, she wouldn't do the same. But like you say, I think it cannot be held without sponsorship, because even playing at Chitante, the person is right across, not too far away from here. They're supposed to pay, I think, some kind of money to be able to host a tournament there, which last time I checked was actually 3 million shillings just to host a tournament. And when I first saw that, the 3 million, that's probably the list of the things they could be doing. A lot of prizes for the winners and so many other things. To get the pros playing, the pros wouldn't play for anything less than about 5 million shillings. And per tournament. So it's a good thing that they get this kind of sponsorship and be able to hold the tournament. And also, it comes in a very busy period, because as I was checking out some of the things they're going to be playing, I think they have a tournament this Saturday, and then some of the ladies, actually only Flavia Namakula, will be traveling to Kenya for the Barclays Pro-Am tournament next week. At the same time, some ladies will be in NTV playing the Uganda Ladies Open, and then thereafter, on March 15th, all of them will be there for the Lady Captain's Prize, which is probably the biggest event for them besides the Uganda Ladies Open, as they have to go out and support their former captain. It will be, for me, it will be a good experience for all the lady golfers. But as you said, the perception about golf is not a very good, probably extremely universal. You have to be quite an apologist. I remember watching one of those sitcoms, Malcolm in the Middle, when Malcolm was telling one of his two brothers that the only thing worse than no TV is golf on TV at the time. And I'm your obscene golf 1-2 a.m. person, especially the USPGA tour, because that's the time they are playing. They normally start at around midnight. So most of the time I'm up in the night watching a bit of this, especially when Tiger Woods is playing. I'm quite a follower. I'm more than maybe a follower. I'm a fan of Tiger, and probably it's the best. I always joke that the best moment that golf will give me is when Tiger wins his next major, because he hasn't won since 2008. So the perception is not.
But he's back to number one.
Yeah, he's back to number one because he played very well last year. But the perception is not that good, because it's quite expensive to get golf kit, especially. But when you get to start, I think the rest of the things are relatively cheap.
Right. Yeah. And of course, I want to learn golf. I want to learn how to play golf this year. So maybe my boss. I'm just putting it out there. Membership. And of course, NTV, I guess, will be owning hole 13, I think. Hole 13 at the Uganda Golf Club. And we'll be giving you more details of this event, or when it happens. But also moving on to boxing. Yesterday, there was activity. It was a beehive of activity in downtown, and all these guys going there to showcase what they have. But Uganda's had so many world championships over the years. World champions, it's Kassim Ouma, it's Jackson Asiku, it's John Mugabe, but the hunger somehow never fades. And this Saturday, Joey Vegas Lubega is going to be fighting in South Africa for the WBC belt. What are his chances?
First of all, he's defending this for the third time because he won it the first time outside of Uganda. I think was back in Egypt. Then he did defend it here at Chadondo, did host a World Boxing Council fight here. And now this weekend he's going to fight in a very hostile place at Emperor's Palace Casino in South Africa on Saturday night. And as I was saying in the lead up, that I'm very glad that this is going to be shown live on SuperSport 2 on Saturday night. And the hour won't be the most inconvenient, to be around 10, 11 p.m. when most of us are still awake. And the opponent is Ryan Liedenberg, who has already had 10 knockouts, and Joy Vegas Lubega, one of those who came through the ranks, doing very well with the amateur team before turning professional. Unluckily for him, I think he's not being taken up to the Ugandan public as much as they would, because most of his success, especially when he first won the WBC belt, was against a Trinidad and Tobago, a Trinidadian outside of Uganda. People don't hold him probably in the same kind of breath like they know Kassim Ouma, even if they didn't watch Kassim Ouma when he first won that world title, and especially because Kassim Ouma's story was a bit more compelling. He was a child soldier, then escaped at the World Military Games back in 1997 in the USA to go and make his own life out there. So Vegas, for me, is not in that kind of breath, and is a boxer who is going to keep introducing himself to Ugandans just to get to every time he's going to fight. But if he goes on and wins this one, South Africa is the best place for him to win a fight, because currently it's one of the places where boxers have gone to make their name, especially many of them across Africa have gone there. And if you find in South Africa, beat a South African, don't be a better start to introduce yourself to the continent. And if Vegas does get this victory, it will probably be the turning point of his career.
What does the home crowd have to play into this? Because you know, he's away from home.
I remember a few years ago when I was watching Kassim Ouma in that fight that he lost to Jermaine Taylor in Arkansas, USA. One of the things I remember about that fight most was the amount of passion the crowd had for Jermaine Taylor, because he was fighting at home for the very first time. And Joy Vegas Lubega knows he's going to be facing this kind of hostility. So for me, he's got to go out there and probably dictate the tempo from the first 2 rounds and get himself going. Because if you're fighting poor and the crowd is against you, there wouldn't be so many chances for Joy Vegas Lubega winning in South Africa. So if he starts poorly, he's gone, because the crowd will get into it, and then all of it, there could be a knockout in the 5th round if you don't start well against a crowd that is hostile to you. I remember talking to Justin Joko sometime when he went to fight in Russia, and he did face the same kind of problem, because no one wanted him to win because he was fighting a home person. The same with Badru Lusama when he was fighting in Scotland. That's what happens. I think when they invite Lubega here, the promoter for Liedenberg, who is the host, is looking to improve Liedenberg's record. Now, the only you can become big in this one is if you win that record that you're trying to build.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we'll talk of Cosmo Boxing on your show.
Yesterday, Brian actually asked who has more power in football. Is it the club or the country? But now, yesterday, we saw FUFA insisting that KCCA have to play in the friendly against Zambia. And this comes in between 2 Champions League games, CAF Champions League games. And so are they trying to show who is boss?
Probably that's part of the thing that I picked up, because I heard Mujib Kasule, the vice president at FUFA, saying that there's nothing KCC can do about it because it's a game that is on the FIFA calendar. Though FUFA had lowered their guns a bit, they're saying the players won't have to travel from Zambia to come back here and then travel again, because the national team does leave on Sunday. They leave on Sunday and Monday. Those who are playing here and those who are playing outside Uganda will link up with the rest in Ndola. So they're saying that the team will, the players from cases, that is Ivan Intege, Tony Odo and Brian Majega, will stay there in Zambia and wait for the others to join them. That's a good sign. Then the second thing is something I picked up from what Mitchell said yesterday. He said, we shouldn't be blaming FUFA or Uganda Cranes or KCC. The problem is CAF, who schedules 2 games within a week for KCC, and then there's an international friendly in midweek. So probably all the teams, I envisage a situation where this is going to happen across Africa, because many of the clubs are having to play. For example, even the Ugandan players at Yanga, who are Hamis Kiz and Emmanuel Okwi, are having to leave Yanga to go and play in Zambia and then get back to their clubs, who are playing 2 games in 8 days, and then there's a midweek national team game there. So it's going to be a lot of conversation. I'm waiting to see a lot of conversation across Africa. For example, not too long ago, TP Mazembe had a friendly, rather TP Mazembe players were prevented by their club from going to play a friendly for the Zambia national team. And that's what the Zambia national team did in the end. They confiscated their passport and the players couldn't travel to DR Congo. So I'm looking at a situation where this is going to happen. Everywhere in Africa is going to be the same problem because all clubs are playing on the continent at this time as the national team is playing. So probably you are going to see a lot of TP Mazembe. And they are that powerful because they come from the richest province in Congo, Katanga, with one of the richest Africans money owning the team. Probably they could do it and get out with it. How many teams could do the same? And there's going to be a lot of conflict. I look at the situation of conflict over the next 1 week.
Well, I'm personally glad that the blame now is taken away from Mitchell or
KCC or Uganda.
And now there's actually CAF is responsible for this,
And they don't do much right, by the way, CAF. They don't do much right.
Okay, moving on to Galatasaray and Chelsea, a 1-1 draw yesterday. Is Mourinho still laughing, considering that the other Europeans, his fellow British clubs, English clubs failed?
Yes.
But
actually,
he is.
Old striker.
Oh, Drogba.
With one old striker.
Who is 32.
Who may be 35. This is a very good result, I think, for Chelsea. At the start of the game, they would have taken it. But Mourinho will know that they should have done better. They were leading. They took the lead through Fernando Torres. Not the old striker. Eto did score in this one. The old striker did score. But thereafter, I thought Chelsea should have got a second. They were extremely wasteful. They were very, very wasteful on the night. There's no reason why they leave Galatasaray. I think about a 1-0 run, they need to win the second leg. They should have won this. Because Chelsea should have won this. They had the chances. And probably in that moment, while I was watching the game, I kept on saying, okay, Mourinho was right. And I know, I personally know he's right. The frustration with these strikers, they have not got the goals. But probably didn't have to handle it this way. And it's been discussed a bit of signing Falcao from Monaco. And they had the chances. Fernando Torres, I think, missed about 2 more. The midfielders, Willian and Eden Hazard, should have scored at least a goal apiece. So Chelsea should have left Turkey ready to qualify for the quarterfinals. Now they still have some work to do. A Galatasaray side that for me play only one way, they play attacking football. There's a lot of space in the Galatasaray team when they're playing at home. They try to open up the field quite a bit, and Chelsea could have punished them. But Galatasaray will be glad they got a goal from this and will travel to England knowing they can go through. On a night when Didier Drogba was totally non-existent, sandwiched between John Terry and Gary Cahill. It was kind of frustrating night. But one of the things I loved when he was coming out, Jose Mourinho was the first to stand up and clap for him because of the success they did together at Chelsea. And I expect the same kind of reception when they travel to Stamford Bridge. It will even be much bigger for Drogba.
He's a good player.
Real Madrid, very quickly, they thrashed Schalke.
Yeah, and they like to call it the BBC. Madrid had a very obscenely bad record in Germany.
Yeah.
They had only won once in their last 5. But I always thought that this was their best chance to go to Germany and win. And did they not only win? They almost put not only 1 foot, I think they're through to the quarterfinals. No team has won by this kind of margin. And I've always thought that the attacking kind of prowess that Madrid have at this point, with that BBC, Benzema, Bale and Cristiano Ronaldo, they are going to rip so many teams apart. And last night, the moment Schalke went a goal down, I could almost get the feeling of a hiding. Ronaldo is fresh, comes in and scores 2, Benzema scores 2, and Bale scores 2. When Madrid are playing like this, and now for me, they are probably as good as Bayern Munich in Europe, because they've now gone 27 games without losing a game. It's looking like they are not going to lose any. And when we come back here tomorrow, we'll be discussing a lot of what they should do when they travel to the Vicente Calderon to play Atletico Madrid, the city rivals. But this is as good a result as I've seen, and a performance from Real Madrid in recent years, when they are really struggling to get that 10th trophy, because there's an obsession in Madrid about the La Decima, what they call the La Decima. They're the most successful team in Europe because they have won the Champions League on 9 occasions, but they've gone now 12 years because they last won back in 2002. They've now gone 12 years without adding a 10th. Most of the time going out in the quarterfinals, in the round of 16, the semi-finals, and they haven't really got to the final ever since that time in 2002. So probably this should be the season. And as someone who thinks Madrid will win at least 2 trophies, the Champions League and the La Liga this season, this kind of performance is the one that won the entire Europe. But please watch out, Madrid is here.
Right. Fixtures for Europa. Of course, Swansea and Tottenham.
Is this what we'll be doing sometime next season when you're saying Manchester United in the Europa League?
I don't know if Manchester will actually play Europa, but we'll wait for it to be there.
But it's something you'd love.
we'll probably not be talking about them. I don't know. But what's happening tonight?
Swansea have to travel to the Sao Paulo, that is in Naples, to get a result against Napoli. They do the first leg at the Liberty Stadium by goalless, and so Swansea are the underdogs. Napoli are a much bigger club than Swansea.
Somehow I believe Swansea is going to come back with the result.
I think they can. I think they can. They should be feeling very positive about them. So even with the defensive performance they put up against Liverpool, where they shipped in 4 goals at the weekend, they should be very confident of getting it. If they go to Italy and score a goal, Napoli have to score twice, and Napoli didn't win on Monday night against Genoa, so their confidence should be dented quite a bit. Swansea should be feeling that they have a chance in this one. Probably Tottenham have a better chance, because Tottenham, while they goal down,
they lost,
they lost to Dnipro in the first leg. They have their second leg at home at White Hart Lane. So probably of the two English teams, Tottenham could have a better chance than Swansea, because Swansea probably are playing a fixture where it's a case of David against Goliath. But the occasions when David beats Goliath, and in this case I want to be the Goliath, because most fights are won by Goliath, and Goliath here being Napoli. So David wins just a few. But this is the kind that David should be fancying, because they don't even need to win. Probably if they get a scoring draw, then Swansea are through. What kind of thing this could be for Swansea if they're into the round of 16? Could be the biggest result in the club's history, way up there with the Capital One Cup victory from last season.
Right. Well, you can catch more of these updates at 1:30 on Omumuli with Isma and Lumansi, and of course Sports Bar every Monday coming from to you from Club Souk at 10:30 p.m. Elvis Senyonyo saying, I don't watch football, but my dad is very attentive. What happened to English teams? Man U died and died again. Manchester City and Arsenal are. Moyes has failed to lead Man U. Do you think there's an English team that will go to the finals of the UEFA Champions League? Well, if we beat Bayern Munich, we shall go. And you can send in these questions, of course, to Isma later when he's on Omumeli Show. Coming up, your African program. It's only a stupid cow that rejoices at the prospect of being taken to a beautiful abattoir.
Yeah.
Because you're going to die anyway.
It's the same thing as being knocked by a Benz and an Ipsam.
Man, where did you get that
from? Or one of those things I've heard in town lately, the joke about girls being able to cry in a Range Rover and not cry in a taxi. It's still the same tears. It's still the same tears, but yeah, that one.
If you're a cow and you know you're going to be slaughtered at Serena.
But maybe it's an honorable death. You die at the Serena Hotel, as opposed to dying somewhere in Mawota.
It's all death in the end. But one of the things, have you ever realized, have you ever been to the abattoir right across the road on First Street? Have you ever noticed the pain in those cows before they walk in? Because I think the sixth sense that we don't know about the cows themselves is that they could even scent the blood that there's another cow that has been killed. I've actually seen, I was watching one of Bart Kakoza's Focal Point stories on NTV some time back, and that's the first time I saw a cow cry. Have you ever seen a cow cry? I saw tears in a cow, because he went and did a very good story about the abattoir, how cows are treated.
Really?
Exactly.
Cows have feelings.
They do.
Wow.
They do. That's why we need this anti-homosexuality bill. Every animal has feelings.
Okay, it's my. All right, and you know, I guess it also reflects on honorable death. You know, people want the way people want to be sent off. Yes, you know. So some of them will go to all these funeral, you know, services and say, you know, I want this to be done at my funeral. Please do this and this, just to give an honorable you know, farewell. And that's your African proverb. If you have any proverb that you want us to profile on the show, please tweet it at Morning at NTV, Facebook Morning at NTV, and of course you can send it to 6565. Remember, the HTC is also still available for you to win. Answer those questions and send the answers to 6565. Lots of comments on adoption. We had Rukshana here telling, you know, sharing her story. There are over 50 comments at this moment Rukshana will get onto our page and answer. But also we'll put up contacts of Malaika Babies Home in Mengo, and you can ask them what to do if you're interested in adoption. From the rest of us here at the NTV Serena rooftop, there's also Rose and the whole crew, Peter on the cameras, Andrew on the video and the sound, and down at the NTV studios at the International Conference, Charles standing by with Man-Mate. Yes, we love you. And I want to say hasta la vista, baby. Have a great day.
NTV, turning on your world. Coming soon on NTV.
Many generations ago, the warrior Apoena from the Karaway tribe fell in love with young Antonia. When they returned to the Araguaia River with the young white girl carrying their child, they awoke Iaru's hatred. Raised away from the curse, Solano Rangel, the last descendant of Antonia and Apoena, returns to uncover his roots, but he couldn't resist Estella's charm. But she keeps a secret in the past.
Estella.
Her real name is Estrella Caru. And her destiny is to fulfill the curse. Destiny River.
Coming soon on NTV. On the next episode of La Patrona.
Run for the exit, then save yourself, because I'm gonna go find her.
Why, Gabriella? Do you want to die like her?
Goodbye, Lucho. Save yourself. I'm going to get Constanza. Hospital? Let me go. This is not a sinking ship, and I'm not the captain. But you are the director, and we need your guidance right now. Do whatever the hell you want.
We don't know who's alive and who's escaped.
Okay, but what about Gabriella? Is she still in there?
You can't go in.
I have to go in
Alejandro,
there.
stop.
No, stop it. Ready?
1, 2,
3.
And 3.
Go.
La Patrona.
This program is rated PG. It is suitable for children ages 8 and above, but parental guidance is advised as it might contain mild violence and mature situations.